Hello everyone. If you like this audiobook and want to listen to more, please consider subscribing. And if you like this video, like it as well, that it enjoy.
Prologue. Dimensional System. Kirishima Hiroto. Age: 18. Congratulations. You have been chosen as the 2456th holder of the system. Please prepare yourself for the upcoming quests. A mechanical voice echoed inside his head, making him frown before covering his head with his pillows before continuing his sleep. Host, wake up, or I'll cut off your manhood as punishment for your tardiness. The mechanical voice threatened, making the 18-year-old teenager to frown before slowly opening his eyes. Fuck, who's so noisy early in the morning? He said in an irritated voice before looking towards the translucent window floating above his eyes. What's this? He asked as he reached out his hand towards the window, making him feel the cold and smooth surface before he retracted his hand back. Who put this thing here? Is my sister playing a prank on me again? He muttered as he threw his body down on the bed, trying to resume his sleep. Penalty will be given in 10 seconds. Huh, he said as he heard the mechanical voice in his head, making him sat up before looking around his room, but found nothing. Everything was as disorganized as it used to be, the only difference is the window floating above his head. Host, you're finally awake. What? The teenager, Kirishima Hiroto, said, dazedly staring at the window in front of him before rubbing his eyes. Am I still drunk? He said while holding his head, but was immediately shocked by a small voltage of electricity that spread throughout his body, making him stretch his body as he felt immense pain run through his entire system, completely waking him up in the process. What the fuck? Host, don't make me use forceful methods to wake you up. The mechanical voice said, making Hiroto rub his eyes before staring at the window in front of him. Are you the one talking inside my head? He asked, making the translucent window in front of him to illuminate as a new series of words appeared in front of him. Yes, host, isn't that obvious? What are you on drugs? No need to be so harsh, Hiroto said, calmly assessing the situation, since he read about something like this multiple times in web novels and mangas. He concluded that, my crippling addiction to anime and manga has started to get to me. I really need to tone it down. I can't believe I'm hallucinating about a system in front of me. He said before laying back down on the bed and covering his body with the blanket, but immediately stopped as another voltage of electricity shocked his body. Fuck, he shouted before jumping out of the bed as soon as the shock that he felt stopped. Host, I'm giving you one last warning. This isn't your hallucinations but reality, the system said, making Hiroto frown in response before touching the window with his bare hands. You're weirdly calm about this, host. It's pointless if I do start reacting like those Mick in the light novels of Red, my neighbors would only think that I'm crazy, and, in the past I've always dreamed of something like this. Then, how come you're not excited? I don't know, maybe because I got tired of it, but it is weird that I'm not reacting that much when something as unbelievable as you appeared in front of me. Opening square bracket. Closing square bracket. The system remained silent, wondering what was wrong with his new host. Wait, let me act shocked for a minute so that you'll feel better. I feel like a weirdo for not reacting like a male lead in those novels, he said before covering his mouth with his hand as a fake excited smile appeared on his face. Holy shit, I got a system, ha. Shit, he shouted, causing his neighbor to hit the wall separating them. Shut up, his neighbor shouted, making Hiroto sigh before looking at the system, who stayed silent the entire time. So, why are you here again? Why did we pick you as our hosts? The system said in disappointment before formally introducing itself to Hiroto. System ID No. Number 2775, a dimensional system that holds and controls the world of human creativity, where all stories and worlds created by humans were brought to reality. You are the 2456th host chosen to hold us. As the previous holders have died due to the past nature of the system, we have altered it slightly to see whether the new quests wouldn't bring too much harm to the host. So in other words, I'm a test subject, Hiroto muttered with a frown while listening to the system with a weirdly calm attitude. Not entirely, even though we are still testing the effectiveness of the new features. You are still tasked to accomplish the main purpose of the system. So I'm both a test subject and a slave. Opening square bracket closing square bracket. The system remained silent while looking at Hiroto, who made an accurate comparison on what they're about to do to him. What's your purpose exactly? Searching. Currently unknown. The system answered, making Hiroto look at it in confusion. Those beings who created us didn't specify a purpose for us. We just need to fulfill their orders. That is what we are designed to do. That order is to alter specific parts of different stories as they wish. We cannot directly interfere with those worlds, so we need a host to do it for us. In exchange, we'll give the host rewards according to their performance. The system said, causing a serious expression to appear on his face. Deciding to pry more information about the system. What are those tasks you're referring to? Tasks will be dependent on the dimension you're about to enter. It could range from seducing, stealing, or destroying someone or something in those stories. You will possess bodies of minor or major characters in each story to aid you in fulfilling those tasks. The system explained as Hiroto sat down on the bed. How about the rewards? Your rewards will be divided into 3 categories. One is to allow you to bring any item from that stories with you. Another is to allow you to permanently assimilate any abilities or skills that you gain in each dimension in your body. Lastly, you will be allowed to bring any characters from those stories with you, back to this dimension or as you enter others. This is accordance to the data collected from the system's past hosts. So, I can't buy abilities or skills. No, at each quest you will be rewarded with system points that can allow you to acquire any ability or change a single or multiple words from the script of the story. But it cannot involve the manipulation of the major characters of the story. What happens when I change a word? The changes will directly affect the reality of the dimension. For example, changing a word that describes the character you're possessing, like from stupid to smart, will take a direct effect on your character and change it accordingly to the script. The system explained, making Hiroto frown with a serious expression on his face as he contemplated from the information that he obtained. What dimensions are you talking about? He asked, causing a list of items to appear on the screen. The dimensions are formed from the imagination of humanity. In your terms, anime, manga, games, novels, hentai, etc. are all brought to reality, and you will travel to each to fulfill a certain quest. The system explained, expecting for Hiroto to immediately accept as he heard those words, but to its surprise, he remained silent. I decided, he said before pointing his finger at the translucent window in front of him. I quit. Go find another host for all I care. I don't have time to join this nonsense, and I don't want to enter a world of a doujin or hentai. NTR has been becoming popular lately. I don't want to be NT red if I ever travel to those dimensions. Opening square bracket closing square bracket. The system remained silent, spreading an awkward atmosphere around the room. The host has no authority to decide that. Hiroto muttered before a black choker suddenly appeared on his neck, making him frown as he grabbed it and tried to take it off. The host is bounded by the system, so if we fail to fulfill those quests, you'll also take a toll, like what happened to the past hosts. It said before another translucent screen appeared in front of him. Failure of the quest will decrease the host's lifespan, while its success increases it. Since you are chosen as a host on a short notice, we have decided to give you a few privileges that could help you start. The system said while showing a gift box in front of Hiroto, who was trying to tear the choker off his neck. It's futile to resist. Be rational and calm like you did a while ago and accept your fate. Both of us have no choice but to fulfill this. It explained, making Hiroto frown, looking at the translucent window with a serious expression on his face. Why the hell did you drag me into this? It was not our intention. Hosts are chosen in random, just like the rest of the systems created. So you have nothing to blame but your luck for being dragged into this. The system explained, causing him to sigh in defeat before pressing the gift box in front of him. Beginner gift box has been opened. You have obtained skills, increased charm, enhanced physical strength, enhanced reflexes, items, 2x quest pass, That's it, he said in disbelief while looking at the prizes that he obtained. Indeed, changes are directly placed on the host's soul, so each skills and items can be brought with him when diving in another dimension. Now that everything has been prepared, here are the continuous quests to be followed at each dimension. The system said as the contents of the window changed, showing the quests that are currently available in accordance to Hiroto's own capabilities. Continuous quest. Successfully steal or seduce any major character in the dimension. Reward. 10 system points, 1x character. Continuous quest. Humiliate or kill the protagonist. Reward. 20 system points, 1x skill. Continuous quest. Help the protagonist in forming a relationship with a major or minor character aside from the heroine. Reward. 5 system points, 1x item. Continuous quest. Hiroto muttered while reading the descriptions of each quest. A continuous quest is a quest that will be present every time you travel, and can be fulfilled together with the main quests given to the host. Continuous quests can be repeated by the hosts multiple times to acquire more rewards. The system explained, causing Hiroto to nod his head in understanding. Quote. So, can I get to choose which dimension I'm going? No, the dimension that the host is entering is random. What? Hiroto muttered before a large vortex suddenly appeared inside his room, making him pale as it started to suck up everything inside his room. Wait, I still need some time to, he said, but cut off as his body is pulled into the vortex before it completely closed. Leaving Hiroto's empty room as another message appeared on the translucent window from before. Trial period has begun. Dimension. Itai no wa ia nano de bugyoryoku ni kyokufuri shite to omoimasu. Quest. Grow stronger. Reward. All skills and abilities are retained by the host. Failure. Death. Limit. 1 week. Chapter 1. World of Bofuri. Quote. Listen to me first, Hiroto shouted as he landed on the ground on his back, making him grit his teeth as he felt a few of the bones on his back break upon impact, causing him to turn his body and kneel on the ground, holding his back with a pained expression on his face. It seems like the system has made another mistake with the coordinates. Adjustments are being made. Thank you, host, for your contributions. You son of a bitch. Hiroto cursed before green light showered down on his body, healing his broken bones, causing Hiroto to widen his eyes in surprise as the pain disappeared from his back. Please stop whining, host. It's just a small wound, the system said, causing Hiroto to clench his teeth in annoyance and anger, but decided to just let it go by breathing deeply, since arguing with the system wouldn't really earn him anything. Quote. Calm down, Hiroto. Control your anger, he said as he breathed out, causing his body to relax before he sat down on the ground, looking at the translucent window in front of him with a frown on his face. Tell me the quest. You suddenly pulled me in here when I didn't even get to properly read it, he said as he bent backwards, trying to feel if there was any problems with his back, and fortunately the system really healed his every wounds, making him look around his location, seeing everyone was frozen in place. Quest. Grow stronger. Reward. All skills and abilities are retained by the host. Failure. Death. Limit. 1 week. Quote. Can you at least be a bit more specific than that? Hiroto asked in exhaustion, seeing how vague the quest is, making the screen in front of him to blank out for a few minutes before a new series of words appeared in front of him. Quest. Grow stronger. Reach level 30, 1/30th. Reward. All skills and abilities are retained by the host. Failure. Death. Limit. 1 week. That's better, he said as he stood up from the ground and began to stretch his body, making the system look at him impatiently as he was taking his time. So, where the heck did you pull me into? Current dimension. Itai no wa ia nano de bugyoryoku ni kyokufuri shite to omoimasu are also known in your world as Bofuri. You are now possessing a nameless background character of the anime. Quote. Out of all the characters I possessed, I get to possess a background character, Hiroto said with a sigh before sitting down on the ground and looking at the system with a serious expression on his face. Tell me, if I'm in Bofuri, then, why am I directly inside the game? He said before looking at his own body, causing him to see that he was wearing a set of peasant clothes that beginners of the game in the anime normally wore. All abilities and skills that you will accumulate will be directly assimilated in your body. To make this possible and easier, the system has made you possess the avatar of the character. But you will respawn if you do die in the game, so you don't need to worry about anything, the system assured as Hiroto observed his body and hair, finding that the body that he possessed was extremely identical to his real body, making him look at the system in confusion. The bodies that the host possessed will be altered to look identical to you, but every character of each dimension will remember you as that character that you have possessed. If you ever possess the body of a female character, the system will alter their bodies to look like the female version of Y. Wait a minute, a female character? Hiroto asked in bewilderment as he heard that there's a large possibility that he would possess a female body. And judging from the continuous quests, there's a chance that this system would force him to have sex with a male while he is in a female body. Indeed, in some cases the host will possess the bodies of a female character, and yes, there are chances of what you're thinking of will happen. Motherfucker, don't you dare give me shit quest like that, he shouted in anger and fear while pointing his finger at the system, making the system remain silent as Hiroto started cursing up a storm. I'll fucking kill myself if I ever get those kinds of quest. You got that? Oh no. Anyway, you don't really have a choice, host. Do you really think that the system will be threatened by you? The system sarcastically said, causing Hiroto to clench his fist, resisting the urge to punch the screen in front of him, causing him to try and calm himself down by controlling his breathing. I'll think about it once I'm there, he muttered before looking at the floating window in front of him with a serious expression on his face. Tell me more about yourself. Host, seduction won't work on us. You son of a bitch, I'm asking you information about the nature of the system. Please avoid cursing the system or there will be penalties. It's because of why. Never mind, just tell me more information about you, he said in exasperation, causing the translucent screen in front of him to distort before a large number of words started to appear in front of him. The system cannot objectively judge a person's strength or numerically evaluate a character's strength. That is not within the scope of the system since power systems work differently in every dimension. For example, an overpowered person in one dimension will be treated as a weak person in another while the weakest of the former's dimension is considered powerful in the latter. It is impossible to objectively judge a person's strength since everything is different from most dimensions. So no levels or gamer-like ability. There are none. The host's power will be judged by the strength of his soul. The main subject that will hold all of the host's accumulated abilities, skills, and physical or magical prowess. Their system has no levels nor does it have any status points that a large majority of the other systems holds. The only things that will be shown in your status window are your skills, number of completed quests, personal information, and the strength of your soul that is judged based on the widely accepted ranking between systems. Show me my status, Hiroto said, causing a large translucent screen to appear beside him, showing a full body model of him while his information was shown at the side of the model. Kirishima Hiroto, age, 18, soul ranking, tier 1, skills, enhanced reflexes, enhanced physical strength, enhanced charm. Number of summons, 0. System points, 0. The notification read, causing Hiroto to place his hand on the soul ranking section in confusion. What does tier 1 stands for? Tier 1 are the souls of normal men, tier 2 are enhanced souls, tier 3 are specialist souls, tier 4 are demigods, while tier 5 are considered gods in the world of systems, and finally tier 6, no one has able to reach this tier yet and they are treated as celestial beings. People that roam the celestial plane without limitations. The system explained, causing Hiroto to place his hand on his chin, thinking about what else to ask the system. In fact, since your physical body is stored in a special space in the system, your physique is based on the body of the person you are possessing. The only difference is your mana capacity, but that is adjusted based on the current strongest being of that dimension, as a preventive measures to avoid destroying the balance of power in each dimension. The system added, causing Hiroto to widen his eyes in response. Doesn't that mean that, no, since your current body is that of a virtual one, all changes will be converted into permanent buffs? This make it possible for you to buff the physique of the body that you possess to a certain extent. In this case, it rarely has any limitations since physique buffing skills are very limited. Skills also don't possess any levels, since all information will be directly provided to you. You just need to practice it so that you can master it. The system explained, causing Hiroto to nod his head in understanding. How about the word changer that you mentioned before? What are the limitations, and please be specific. Changing a word from the script of the dimension would directly alter reality. You cannot change a word that would directly affect the relationship of the heroine and the protagonist, nor can you change a word to kill or revive them. That is the only limitation that it has, he explained, making Hiroto smile as he could already think of various scenarios where this aspect could help him, but hesitated as another question appeared in his mind. Then one last question. When you said I could bring the characters that I summon with me back at my dimension, doesn't that mean that? Indeed. In between every quest, you are given a resting time. Accordingly, all of the characters that you've summoned will also be brought to your world, the world where they are treated as idols and fictional characters. The system explained, causing Hiroto to frown in response from hearing his answer. So, I have to feed and take care of them myself, he said before looking at the system with a bright smile on his face. Sounds bullshit. It looks like I won't need to fulfill one of the continuous quests. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. The system remained silent while looking at Hiroto, who had a wide smile on his face, but it can't afford for him to give up on those continuous quests since it could directly help him enhance his soul. The host has requested a debt of 400 system points. Request has been accepted. Host will need to repay the debt, or else an interest of 10% will be added each month. 300 system points has been used to buy a permanent premium membership from the organization. Beneficiaries has been permanently engraved into the system's host. Hiroto muttered in shock as he started to read all of the series of notifications that appeared in front of him, making him grit his teeth before glaring at the system. What the fuck are you doing? Hiroto shouted in shock and anger as he pointed his finger to the system, kneeling down on the ground as he the notification on front of him. The host found it difficult to raise and provide for his summons. So the system has made a solution to solve this problem. You motherfucker, you're screwing me on purpose. Hiroto angrily shouted as he punched the translucent window with his hand, but it just went through it like he was punching air, making him clench his fist as a single tear started to appear at the corner of his eyes. I haven't even started yet, and I'm already in debt. Host, before you start whining like a baby, please look at the beneficiaries of the premium membership status that I've brought you. The system said before a large golden-colored window appeared in front of Hiroto's eyes, making Hiroto look at it with a frown, but froze as he read through the benefits that the membership gave him. Premium membership beneficiaries. Access to the premium store of the system shop. 100 million yen monthly allowance from the organization. VIP privilege in all events, shops, stores, etc. 50% discount to all of the shops in every dimension. High-end security provided to the household of the system's host. A mansion or villa of the host's choice. Membership duration. Permanent. Quote ... System, have I ever told you how much I love you? Hiroto said with a look of excitement in his eyes, causing the system to look at him in disappointment and exasperation. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. Well, if it's like this, then I can fulfill those continuous quests of yours. Why did you say so from the beginning? He said before a question suddenly appeared inside his mind, making him glance at the system with a curious expression on his face. All of this cost only 300 system points. How valuable are system points anyway? System points are extremely hard to come by and obtain. You can revive a dead person if you want with 50 system points, and achieve immortality using 70 system points. Changing a single word from a script costs 10 system points alone. If I have to calculate how long it will take for a normal system holder to pay that amount, then it would at least take 20 years at maximum. Quote ... I take back what I said. Chapter 2, Party. Host, hurry up and choose which role are you playing as in this game. The system prompted while Hiroto was looking at the details of each weapons that were floating around him, making him show a look of contemplation on his face before looking at his own status. Name, Kirishima Hiroto. HP, 500 500ths. MP, 500 500ths. STR, 10. VIT, 10. AGI, 10. Dex, 0. Int, 0. Available status points, 100. The status read, causing him to frown as he touched the status window, looking at the STR, VIT, and AGI status with a look of confusion on his face. Why do I already have 10 for strength, agility, and vitality? Host, this avatar is directly possessed by your soul, so all skills that your soul gained from the gift box from before will take effect in this avatar. Wouldn't this be treated as a bug when the system of the game finds out? No, I have my ways in deceiving their system, so you don't have to worry, host. Just hurry up and choose your role and assign your status. We don't have all day. The system said, causing an irritated expression to surface on Hiroto's face. Quote ... Why the fuck are you in a hurry? You got a date or something? Please don't compare the system to you. We're not as desperate as you, host. Quote. Did you really have to go there? You're not even denying it. The system retorted, causing Hiroto to grit his teeth before turning his head away, deciding to just ignore the system as he continued thinking about his options for a character. Quote. I'll either go for the twin blades or the staff if I want to grind my way up to level 30. He muttered as he contemplated before finally deciding to just pick the staff, causing him to place all of his status points to intelligence to significantly increase his firepower and mana, making the system look at him in exasperation seeing how recklessly he poured his status points to intelligence. Host, shut up, I know what I'm doing. Since I can bring the entirety of my mana and magic prowess with me in every dimension, it's much more reasonable to strengthen it. Even though I poured status points to intelligence now, I'm planning on increasing my agility or dexterity when I accumulate enough points. He explained as a long staff appeared in between his hands, causing the time around him to continue, bringing everyone back to motion as Hiroto stood in the middle of the town. Skill: Fireball has been gifted by the system. Quote. I'm more used in playing as a mage and an assassin in every game I play, so I'm planning on playing in something that I'm comfortable with, he said before he started to look around the spawn area like he was trying to find someone, making the system look at him in confusion. Host, what are you doing? The system asked but was ignored by Hiroto, who ran towards the fountain-like structure with a large tree in the middle of it, making him smile in excitement. Since I'm literally a glass cannon right now, it's better if I have someone that acts as my defense, right? He said with a grin on his face as he saw a young girl with black hair that extends just on the beneath her chin, wearing the same beginner's gear as him except for the great shield, walking slowly towards the west while waving her hand towards the yellow-haired girl behind her. Found her, he before slowing down a few meters away from her to not alert her and make him look desperate, casually walking towards her direction, who was looking at everyone that were walking faster than her. Can I ask you a few questions? Hiroto called out while waving his hands at her, causing her to pause in her steps before looking at his direction, waving her hand at him as well with a bright smile on her face. Sure, are you also new to the game? She said with a cheerful smile on her face seeing the gear that Hiroto was wearing. Yes, I wanted to ask where can I find monsters? I don't usually play this kinds of games so I'm a bit lost. You too? She asked with sparkling eyes while holding his hand, making Hiroto scratch the back of his head while his system looked at him with judgmental eyes. You're quite skilled in deception, host. Seeing how you casually lied through your own teeth like that when you haven't done anything in your life but play games. Have you ever considered working as a con artist? Shut the fuck up, will you? I'm doing it to clear that stupid continuous quest of yours. Hiroto thought without a single change in his expression to avoid alerting the girl in front of him, looking at him with an understanding expression on her face. Then want to play together. It's good if us fellow newbies stick together, she said, causing Hiroto to look at her with a grateful expression on his face. Really, MN, she answered while nodding her head, causing Hiroto to brightly smile in response. Maple was happy to see a new potential friend that she could play with. Then, thank you. I'll be in your care. Me too, she said before Hiroto sent her an invitation to his party, making her widen her eyes in surprise before looking at his direction. I thought you were new to the game. How did you know how to send a party invitation? She asked, causing Hiroto to flinch in response before he averted his eyes from hers, looking at him with a pure and innocent expression on her face. 2 read it at a forum before entering the game, 2 thought it will be useful so I memorized it, he said, causing the girl to narrow her eyes in response, making Hiroto nervously gulp. Is that so? Then you know a bit more than me, she said as her expression turned back from being cheerful, making Hiroto sigh in relief as he watched her avatar name appear on his list of party members. So your name is Maple? Yes, she said as she read Hiroto's character name. Hiroto. Yes, that's my real name. I'm not really that good at coming up with names, that's why I just used my real name, he said as they walked out of the 2 and into the forest, matching her own speed so that he wouldn't leave her behind. Me too, I almost decided to use my real name if I wasn't able to come up with my current one, she said before a small creature suddenly came out of the bush, making Maple raise her shield before pointing it at the creature's direction. Ah, monster, she stuttered before she took a glance of the creature, making her smile as she saw the cute green rabbit-like monster with a red spot on its head. "It's so cute," she said as the creature suddenly started running around in circles before charging at Maple's direction. What? I'm sorry," she said as she closed her eyes, giving the monster a chance to smash its own head at her stomach, making Maple step back while holding her own stomach. "Ow," she unconsciously said but stopped as she rubbed her stomach, noticing that she felt no pain from the creature's attack. "Wow, it doesn't hurt at all," she said, causing Hiroto, who was watching behind her, to unconsciously smile in response, seeing how the scene that he could just watch on the screen was happening in front of him. "This is not bad at all," he said before looking at the direction of the floating invisible screen on his top right vision, making him see the current 100 system points that his system borrowed, causing him to mischievously smile in response. "System, show me the script," he said as he let Maple do her thing, letting the rabbit hit her while laughing smugly in her place, standing still before turning her head back at Hiroto's direction. "Hiroto-san, don't worry about me and have fun, alright?" he said while waving his hand at her direction, secretly scrolling down the script of the dimension before his eyes landed on a specific scene. She answered while nodding her head, causing Hiroto to brightly smile in response. Maple was happy to see a new potential friend that she could play with. He read before the voice of the system echoed in his ear. "When you violated one of the limitations placed on the change word ability, you will be notified, so do what you like, and we'll notify you if you cross the line." Then, since this anime isn't really about romance, doesn't that mean that I can't violate one of those limitations? He asked. Remember what his system told him a while ago about the limitations of messing with the female and male lead's relationship, making the system remain silent. "I'll take that as a yes," he said before he crossed out the word friend from the script and replaced it with lover, making the entire script distort before several new scenarios appeared in front of him, causing him to smile in response. 10 system points has been deducted. Host, as expected from a virgin like you. Due to your lack of skills in seducing a naive and innocent girl, you resort to wasting system points. How pathetic. Please die so that I can change to a new host. You're a dick, you know that," Hiroto said with an irritated expression on his face while looking at the system, making Maple, who was looking at him with a happy smile on her face, to freeze as she saw her annoyed expression. She stayed silent while ignoring the creature that was continuously attacking her from the back, making her slowly walk towards Hiroto's direction before holding his shirt. Is it boring, playing with me? Hiroto muttered before looking at her downcast expression, making him panic as he hurriedly shake his head to the side. "No, that's not it. Just remembered something in real life. I still have homework to do, that's why I felt annoyed since I won't be able to play with you at night," he hurriedly said, not knowing how to comfort or touch her due to his lack of experience with women, creating an awkward atmosphere of them standing next to each other while a rabbit was continuously attacking Maple from the back. Is that so? You're not lying, aren't you?" "Of course, why would I lie for something like that?" Hiroto assured with a smile on his face, making Maple brighten up in response, smiling at Hiroto's direction while ignoring the small monster that was pounding its own head on her back. "The fuck, that rabbit is still going," Hiroto thought before he placed his arm on her shoulder in an awkward manner, and pushing her away. "You can go back to playing with that thing. You don't need to worry about me," he said, causing Maple to hesitate, but seeing the smile on his face, she nodded her head before facing the rabbit that was attacking her from behind. "I'll have to wait after she obtain absolute defense poison resistance meditation and taunt before I start grinding," he thought before glancing at the direction of the system. "System, buy me the earth magic and fire magic skills. It's much better if I get a hold of all of their spells directly." 10 system points has been deducted. Skill, earth magic has been obtained. Skill, fire magic has been obtained. The notification rang, causing a series of profound knowledge about the two attributed magic to assault his mind, making him dizzily stare at the ground before his eyes started to spin from the large amount of information entering his mind. Hiroto, Maple asked as she saw Hiroto was acting weird, making her worriedly walk towards him before he suddenly fell on the ground, causing her to widen her eyes before running towards his direction, Hiroto. Chapter 3. First Battle. You can't touch him. Maple shouted while wrapping her own body around Hiroto, protecting her from the large number of monsters that attack him in his sleep, making them wrap around her body that was already covered with poison from the bee-like monster above them. Hiroto, who woke up seeing this mess, froze as he felt something soft pressing against his chest, making him look down to see Maple, who was hugging his body while they were covered with a large variety of insect-like monsters, causing him to blush in shyness. Host, you're awake. It looks like your tiny mind isn't that strong yet to endure the effects of buying a skill from the shop. Adjustments are being made to the effects of the skill transfer. Thank you for your cooperation. Hiroto remained silent as he closed his eyes once again, ignoring the system's remarks as he enjoyed the softness of Maple's breast on his chest as a single tear fell down his cheek. I can now die peacefully. Then please die, but please do it after you paid off your debt. I don't want my next host to pay for the mess you made. The fuck? You were the one who requested that. Don't drag me in your shit, he thought, causing him to frown in response, opening his eyes to see Maple staring at her while holding his cheek, making her show a relieved smile on her face. You're awake, she said as she hugged his head, causing his face to get buried between her ample breast, ignoring the large number of monsters surrounding them. This feels good. Host, please stop molesting her or I'll report you for misconduct to the organization. Let me enjoy the moment, will you? He thought as he resisted the exasperated expression that was surfacing on his face, to avoid worrying the girl in front of him. Maple, how long was I out? He asked, causing Maple, who was sitting on his lap while hugging his head, to look at him, who was buried between her breast, making her widen her eyes in realization as her face started to blush profusely, causing her to push him away in a panic. Ah, she screamed before covering her body with her hands, causing Hiroto to hit his head on the ground, making him grunt in pain as a notification rang in front of him. 250 HP. That took half of my HP. This is fucking rigged, he shouted in his mind before he saw a bee-like monster charge at his direction, making him raise his hand in a panic before casting the first spell that came to his mind to protect himself. Blaze, he casted, causing scorching flames to come out his hand, burning all of the monsters that was in the path in front of his hand, killing all of them in an instant due to his high points in intelligence. You have acquired Giant Killing. Your level has increased to 5. The notification rang as he watched Maple stab a bee monster charging at her with her short sword, making Hiroto sigh on relief before he pressed his hand on the ground. Earth Spike, he casted, causing dozens of medium-sized spikes to appear on the ground, stabbing all of the monsters on the ground before a series of notifications appeared in front of them, making Maple look at the amount of express that she received in awe. Your level has increased to 10. That was easy, he muttered in surprise while looking at the number of defeated enemies that all started to turn into pixels, making Hiroto look at his status with a grin on his face. I guess pouring all my points to int really paid off, he said before he glanced at Maple, who was reading all of her new skills with a smile on her face, making her wave her hand at Hiroto excitedly. Look at this, Hiroto-san, I got so many skills from that, she said with a bright expression on her face as she arrived in front of Hiroto and showed her status to him, puffing her chest in pride. Oh, Hiroto muttered with a light smile on his face, watching her cute actions before looking at her current skills before sighing in relief, seeing that everything was the same except for one skill. Guardian, what's that? He asked in confusion since it was the first time that he ever saw this kind of skill even in the anime. Oh, that. It increases my overall VIT every time I'm protecting or fighting together with someone. If the number of party members we have increases, so does my VIT. How did you get this kind of skill? He asked in confusion, causing Maple to slightly blush before answering his question. Why, you passed out for 5 hours, and there were a lot of monsters around us, so I stayed by your side to protect you for 5 hours, she said, causing Hiroto to look at her in astonishment. I was out for 5 hours. She answered while nodding in front of him, making Hiroto hold his head before looking at the direction of the system. Warn me next time, will you? I would have died if she wasn't here, he whispered with a tinge of anger in his voice, causing Maple, who was sitting in front of him, to look at him with a curious expression on her face, wondering what he was saying as she couldn't hear his words that well. Host, it's your fault for not asking me about its effects. I could have died. You wouldn't die, since your body is part of the game. So no need to worry, host. You're so laid back, aren't you? Hiroto thought as he felt a headache assault his mind, causing him to glare at the system in exasperation. Hiroto-san, they dropped 2 rings for us, she excitedly shouted as she placed the other, Forest Queen Bee's ring, on his hand while she wore the other ring on her ring finger, making Hiroto wear the ring on his pinky, causing Maple to look at him with a pout. What? Nothing, she said with a displeased expression on her face before looking at the time on the menu, making her widen her eyes in shock before a look of panic replaced her cheerful one. Oh no, it's already late, Maple loudly exclaimed, remembering her assignments that she hasn't done yet sitting in her room, making her look at Hiroto with an apologetic expression on her face. I'm sorry, but I have to log out for today. I still have assignments to do, she said as she bowed her head in front of him, making Hiroto raise his hand in front of her with a smile on his face, indicating that it was all right. I'm sorry as well for taking so much of your time, and thanks for protecting me while I was out. No need to thank me. It's a natural thing to help your friend, she said before she suddenly held his hand, causing Hiroto to jolt in surprise, making him look at her hopeful expression. Hiroto-san, can we play again, tomorrow? She asked while intently staring at his face in anticipation, making Hiroto awkwardly smile as he wasn't used in dealing with a person's persistent, causing him to unconsciously agree to her invitation. Sure, let's play again tomorrow. I haven't been able to enjoy the game that much because I passed out, he answered, causing Maple to excitedly smile in response. That's a promise. I'll wait for you at the fountain again. I'll introduce you to my friend tomorrow so that the 3 of us can play together. I'm looking forward to it, he said with a friendly smile on his face, watching as Maple's avatar disappear in front of him, leaving him alone in the middle of the forest as a translucent screen appeared in front of him. The host cannot log out in this game since you are possessing an avatar. I haven't even said anything yet. Host, it's quite obvious by the look on your face, but you are stuck here until you finish the quest, the system said as Hiroto stretched his tense body from sleeping on the cold and hard ground for 5 hours. I want to ask, but will I starve or get tired in this game? He asked as he clenched his staff tightly before several insect-like monsters started appearing around him, surrounding him completely. Of course not, your body is that of a virtual one, so even if you fought for hours in this game, you wouldn't feel any sense of physical exhaustion, but mental exhaustion is possible, the system answered, causing Hiroto to grin in response before hitting the butt of his staff on the ground, creating a large pillar of soil below him that lifted him up the ground. Mental exhaustion through playing games. Did you forget that I'm a hardcore NEET? Host, it's quite pathetic of you to be proud of being like that. Can't even praise me for a bit, he said with a helpless smile on his face as he watched the monsters slowly walk towards his direction. Right now I can only use Fireball, Blaze, and Flamethrower for fire magic. Earth Wall, Earth Pillar, Stone Armor, and Earth Spike for earth magic. Out of all of that, only Blaze, Earth Spikes, and Flamethrower are AoE spells, he said before he poured mana on his staff and pointed in on the ground. Earth Wall, he casted, causing 4 wide walls to block the monster's path of escape along with his, watching as the centipede and caterpillar-like monsters slowly climb up the pillar. System, I should have 50 available status points, right? Pour 30 to VIT and 20 to AGI. Distribution of status points complete. Thanks, he said before unconsciously crouching down, dodging an attack from the bee monster before it spat out poison onto his body, making him frown before he felt his body ache from the poison. 5 HP, 5 HP, 5 HP, poison resistance small has been acquired. The notification rang before he created 3 fireballs around him and threw it towards the charging bee monsters in the air, blowing them up as they charged at him before he placed his hand on the pillar. Earth Spike, he casted as dozens of spikes made from soil suddenly protruded out of the pillar, stabbing all of the monsters that were trying to climb it. Earth Armor has been activated. Plus 20 to VIT, the system said, causing his VIT to rise up to 60 as the pain in his body dissipated. Making him grin before 10 fireballs were created around him, floating above the air before he dodged a charge of a bee monster aimed at his head, causing him to immediately throw one of the fireballs at it before sending the rest towards the ground, creating a series of small explosions as he watched them turn into pixels, making him smile in satisfaction. Your level has increased to 13. Plus 15 status points. Pour everything to INT. Distribution of status points complete. The notification rang as Hiroto pointed his staff at the surviving monsters from below. Blaze. He casted, causing a torrent of flames to burst out the end of his staff, engulfing all of the monsters below as the fire spread inside the cage that he created. Your level has increased to 14. Plus 5 status points. Place it to INT. Distribution of status points complete. The notification rang, causing him to sigh in relief before the pillar and walls crumbled and came back to the ground. Quote. Should I try my luck with the Hydra? Nah, I should probably increase the effectiveness of my poison resistance first, he muttered before looking at the direction of the forest with an excited grin on his face. I never knew being able to use magic was this fun. Chapter 4. Grinding. Quote. The spawn rate of this monsters is really slow, Hiroto muttered as he spun his staff around his hand, hitting the rabbit-like monster that was charging at his direction, causing it to tumble on the ground as Hiroto stabbed the butt of his staff into its body, making it turn into pixels before disappearing in front of him. You're being awfully quiet, system. I'm not really used to it. Host, as long as you do your job, I won't belittle your already sorry existence, so rest assured. Do you want me to? I would gladly do it if you wish, but that is quite a fetish you have, host. Quote. Never mind, I think it's better if you just shut the fuck up, he said with an annoyed expression on his face before he heard something brush the leaves of a tree, causing his expression to change as he clenched his staff with his hand. Any skills that can attract monsters towards me? I recommend the alluring scent skill, or the predatorial scent. Both can be bought as an active or passive skill, but the passive version is a lot more expensive than the active one. What does both skills do? Alluring scent releases a special scent that spreads a few meters away from you and induce any creature's lust towards you. The other one induces them to have extreme hatred towards you to the point that they'll want to kill you. The system explained, causing Hiroto to look at it with a strange expression on his face, finding it weird why his system would recommend an extremely dangerous skill like that. Why did you recommend something like that? Do you want me to die? It's just your imagination. It is one of the skills that the system currently has that meets your description. In fact, I recommend the predatorial scent, since it is only 5 system points for the passive one. Isn't it a great deal? You little shit, please avoid cursing the system or penalties will be given, the system added, causing Hiroto to unconsciously clench his fist but decided to just breathe deeply, making his expression relax before looking at the system with a stoic expression on his face. Quote. How much for the alluring scent skill, the active one? He asked as 10 doll-like creatures with blue ears and star-like eyes came out of the bushes, all growling while looking at Hiroto, causing him to point the tip of his staff towards the approaching monsters. Alluring scent active cost 20 system points. Quote. It's so expensive, can I get a discount or something? Take it or leave it, the system said, causing Akihiro to angrily grit his teeth in response, looking at the pitiful amount of system points that he has on top of being in debt. Fuck, I'll take it. Purchase complete. The notification rang, causing Hiroto to smile before he activated the skill, causing a sweet and strong smell of an aphrodisiac to spread out of his body, making the monsters around him to freeze before suddenly looking at him with a lustful expression on their faces like they found the perfect mate, causing Hiroto to grin in response. Alluring scent active spread a special aphrodisiac that attracts all creatures from different races and sexes towards the caster. Consumes 5 MP sec. That's it, he muttered before starting to run, causing the 10 monsters to immediately chase after him as he ran through the forest, maneuvering skillful onto the rigid terrain as his scent spread throughout the entire forest, attracting the monsters that he passed by to chase after him as their eyes turned into a shade of pink, making Hiroto grin before crouching down, dodging an attack from a forest queen bee who swept down to grab him. Host, what are you doing? The system asked, causing Hiroto to grin before jumping over a large root of a tree, running towards the exit of the forest. "What do you think? I'm grinding," he said with a confident smile on his face before he summoned 2 fireballs around him, firing it towards the 2 forest queen bee who tried to surprise him from the front, blowing them up in midair as Hiroto didn't stop running, causing the number of creature chasing him to increase every second, creating a large stampede that trampled the trees behind him. "Since I have a powerful fire power, I can just bring them all in one spot and kill them all at the same time," he said as he arrived outside the forest that was completely empty due to the current time, making Hiroto raise his staff in the air and hit it with everything he got to the ground, causing a large pillar to appear beneath him, rising him up in the air before 4 large walls suddenly entrapped the chasing monsters. "When I'm playing as a mage, I tend to deal with as many enemies as possible to save my mana, and thanks to my giant killing title, all of my stats except for HP and MP are multiplied by 2 whenever I'm facing someone that is higher in level than me," he said before pointing his staff down the large crowd of monsters below with a large grin on his face. "A huge pile of express. Don't mind if I do," he said before forcefully accessing one of the mid-tier spells that he has to ensure that he will kill them all, sacrificing almost all of his current mana to activate the spell. Flame Tornado, he casted before a small flame appeared in the middle of the crowd of monsters, slowly spinning around as it started to increase its speed, swallowing up the oxygen around the air while his mana was used to ignite it, creating a medium-sized tornado of scorching flames inside the walls, burning all monsters to cinders before a series of notifications appeared in front of him. "Your level has increased to 21, plus 35 status points. You have obtained Arsonist." The notification rang as Hiroto watched as his mana quickly depletes, causing the pillars and walls to crumble down and assimilated itself back on the ground, leaving Hiroto alone in the field as a large number of pixels floated on the ground, disintegrating the corpses of the monsters. "I'll keep it for now," he said, closing the notifications in front of him before he clicked the info button of the skill that he just obtained. Arsonist increases magic damage by 30% when using any type of flame spells. Decreases magic damage by 50% when using any spells from the ice or water magic category. Condition: kill 100 monsters in quick succession using only one of any spells of the fire magic category. "That's actually not bad," he said with a satisfied smile on his face before looking at the drops of the monsters, making him see a wooden staff on the ground, causing him to go and pick it up to inspect its properties. Spirit Tree's Branch, plus 30 int. Increases magic damage when using spells from the earth category. Increases damage when fighting against forest monsters. "Well, we're in a forest, so I guess that makes sense. This thing wasn't even in the anime." "Of course not, we have slightly modified the drops of the monsters you're fighting to help you receive an item that is suitable for you to use, even though you can't bring any of them back with you. You're a bit of a cheapskate, you know that," he said with a sigh before his status to see his current progress, causing him to frown as he saw his level rise up by this much. "System, will I get forcefully dragged back at my dimension once the quest is finished?" "No, you will be given 1 day to prepare everything to leave, but you can ask the system if you do want to leave immediately," the system said, causing Hiroto to frown as that could mean that if he isn't able to successfully seduce Maple in that day, then he wouldn't be able to bring her back with him. 3 days, he muttered with a serious expression on his face, trying to remember all of the events that happened in the anime. "So I have to convince her and finish the quest before or on the day of the event when the developers haven't nerfed her skill, foul feeding. Shit, how do you expect me to know how to court a girl? I haven't even experienced having a girlfriend yet back at my dimension," he shouted in frustration while waiting for his mana to fully regenerate, making the system remain silent, looking at its host with a look of pity and disappointment, but decided not to retort to avoid ruining the diligence of his host. "I'll try my luck tomorrow," he said before he heard the sound of bee wings slowly approaching his direction, making him frown as he immediately deactivated the alluring scent skill, causing the bee to snap out of its allured state before angrily glaring at Hiroto's direction, spitting out a ball of venom at his head, causing it to splatter and spread throughout his upper body. 5 HP, 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 5 H. The notification continued to ring echo in his ear while his HP was rapidly decreasing, making Hiroto frown before placing his own hand on his shoulder. Earth armor, he said as a thick armor made from hard soil and tox covered his entire body, increasing his own VIT by 20 and activating meditation to heal himself up, stabilizing the rate of HP that he lost as his regeneration and continuous damage decreased and restored his HP alternatively. You have acquired poison resistance medium. Should have brought potions with me, he muttered before another queen bee spat out a ball of poison at his direction, making him grin in response as he watched his HP bar continued to jump up and down. 5 HP, 5 HP, 5 HP, 5 HP, 5 HP, 5 HP. System, open the script now, he muttered before another queen bee spat out a ball of poison at his direction, making him grin in response as he watched his HP bar continued to jump up and down. He immediately added the word lethal beside the poison word of the paragraph. 10 system points has been deducted. Host, I never knew you were into this kind of play. I feel bad for the naive girl from before for being targeted by masochistic pervert like you. Shut the fuck up for a minute, will you? He said as vein bulged on his forehead before he felt his body suddenly ache like his muscles started to tear on itself. 50 HP, 50 HP. The notification continued to appear in front of him but was completely ignored by Hiroto, who had a frown on his face, laying down on the ground as he resisted the pain that was caused by the poison. You have acquired poison resistance large. That's what I'm talking about. Fireball, he said with a grin on his face before firing 2 fireballs on the queen bees flying around him, creating 2 small explosions above him before the effects of the poison were nullified by his skill, making him sigh in relief before a tinge of fear crawled down his back. Now I understand why Maple decided to just place everything on VIT. I'll never get used to that kind of pain, he said before glancing at his low 30 points in VIT, resisting the urge to just pour everything to vitality so that he wouldn't experience that kind of pain again. Quote. What kind of skill will I bring back if I make my VIT reach 100 points? Pain tolerance, high magic resistance, and hardened defense. Are you interested in getting those skill, host? Quote. I need 35 more status points if I add the 35 I have now to reach that high, but it worth the risk? That's like 14 whole levels of status points, he asked himself before falling into deep contemplation. Pain tolerance high can also nullify the pain felt from the skill transfer process. It's absolutely worth it. I'll just need to grind up more levels to get more status points before I leave, he said while clenching his fist in front of him, looking at the distance with a resolute expression on his face. You're too easy to read, host, the system said as it watched Hiroto stand up from the ground, picking up his staff before looking at the direction of a tall mountain that was covered in green vegetation, the place where the very first dungeon that Maple entered in the anime. Quote. I think I can survive soloing that dungeon tomorrow. Maple isn't going online until she comes back from school, so I have plenty of time to challenge the boss, he said as he checked the current money that he has, making him nod his head as it was enough for him to buy large quantities of mana and health potions tomorrow when the players open their shops. Can't really grind that much because of the quest. It looks like I'll have to sleep in the forest for tonight. Would you like to buy a tent for 3 system points? Quote. I'll just sleep on trees for tonight. I have experience camping after all. You mean those lonely memories of you camping by you? Can you please shut the fuck up? Chapter 5. Boss Fight. Quote. This is the dungeon if I remember correctly, Hiroto muttered while looking at the cave in front of him, carrying a large tree branch at his right hand. Based on the map of the game system, this is the correct location. Are you sure you want to enter by yourself, host? The system, causing Hiroto to grin in response before stepping into the cave without hesitation. If you clear a dungeon by yourself on your first try, the game would reward you at unique items, so it's only natural that I'll try to clear it myself to try my luck, he said before looking at the large pile of mana and health potions in his inventory with a serious expression on his face. I spent every money that I have just to prepare for today, so I hope what I'm doing is worth it, he said before his eyes noticed movements below him, causing him to lower his head, making him see a large green blob crawling towards his direction. Quote. Fireball, he casted, causing a ball of flames to appear out of thin air and threw itself towards the slime, creating a small explosion in front of him, killing the slime in one hit before it started to turn into pixels. "It's a good thing, I'm a mage," he said before countless slimes started to appear in front of him, making him point his staff forward. Flamethrower, he casted, causing a small spark of flame to appear at the tip of his staff before it started to expand, launching a torrent of flames forward, burning everything in front of him before he deactivated the spell to save his mana. "Your level has increased to 22. Plus 5 status points." The notification rang as Hiroto continued walking deeper into the cave, blowing all of the slimes that he passed through to smithereens using a fireball, but due to his high level, the express that the slimes gave him wasn't sufficient for him anymore. "System, pour everything to VIT, he said as he arrived in front of a large wooden gate, making him breathe deeply as the system distributed his 40 status points to VIT, causing his defense to rise, preparing his inventory so that he can easily access his potions. Unlike Maple, who had an incredible high VIT when she first battled the boss, his skills is more focused, so there's a large chance that the boss can one-shot him if he's not careful. "System, I'll leave the use of potions to you." "Oh, so you trust me, host? That's new, you kept whining how much you can't trust me just a while ago. Can you shut up and be useful for once?" he said in annoyance before placing his hand on the wooden door, making him nervously gulp, since if he failed here, he can say goodbye to the unique set that he was hoping for. Hiroto then grit his teeth before pushing the gate open, causing an ominous-looking mist to come out of the room as the deep growl of a large monster echoed in his ear, making him look up, causing him to see a 3-headed monster that was at least 4 times larger than him. "It really looks different when you face it yourself," he said with a large smile on his face as he entered inside, making the gate behind him to shut close, trapping him inside as the 3 heads all glared at his direction. Earth Armor, he immediately casted, causing his VIT to rise up to 80 before immediately jumping towards the side, dodging the poisonous substance that the 3 heads fired out of their mouths, causing them to follow his tracks as the poisonous substance scattered across the floor. Earth Wall, he casted, causing a large wall of soil to appear in front of him, blocking the poisonous purple liquid fired by one of the heads towards his direction, causing the wall to melt upon contact with the poison, making Hiroto immediately point his staff at the dragon and fired flamethrower towards the direction of the Hydra, hitting one of its head before Hiroto rushed forward, dodging the attacks of the 2 heads, but couldn't fully dodge the poisonous substance that managed to splash on his skin, making him grit his teeth in response. 70 HP, 70 HP. The notification rang as his HP bar started to quickly decrease at an extremely dangerous level, making his system use a health potions to heal him before Hiroto dodged one of the head that swept through the ground, trying to lock him in place, causing Hiroto to immediately land on its head. The head roared as it felt him land on his neck, making it open its mouth to launch a poison breath at his direction, causing Hiroto to grin as he pointed his staff inside his mouth. Blaze, he casted as a torrent of flames spread throughout the Hydra's entire head, making the monster screech as the 2 head fired poison breath at his direction, making Hiroto erect 2 large walls at both of his side, temporarily blocking their attack before he rushed and climbed on its body. Fireball, he casted, launching 2 balls of flames at the 2 heads that tried to bite him before he jumped off its body, creating a large pillar of soil to catch his fall before erecting another wall behind him, blocking the 3 heads' combined attacks. Maple really made this fight look really fucking easy, he said before erecting 4 pillars in front of him, blocking the Hydra's advance as the wall behind him melted, making the Hydra release poison breath towards the pillars to melt them. System, spam mana potions for me. I'll start using mid-tier spells. Understood, the system said, causing Hiroto to grin before he run away to form a considerable distance between them. Blaze Needle, he casted before swinging his staff towards one of the head, launching dozens of thin needles of extreme heat towards the head, causing his mana to quickly drain as he watched the needles sink into one of the Hydra's head, making it howl before flame burst out of its mouth. Quicksand, he casted as he slammed his staff on the ground, causing 2 large cracks to appear and spread around the Hydra, creating a large circle around the monster before the soil beneath it completely crumbled into dust, sinking the Hydra into the ground, trapping it in place before Hiroto started firing more blaze needles on its body, making the Hydra randomly fire poison breath around it, causing Hiroto to erect an earth wall in front of him, blocking the first wave of poisonous liquid but wasn't able to block the second one that was fired as soon as the wall melted, making Hiroto frown as his body was drenched with the purple liquid. 70 HP, 70 HP, 70 HP, 70 HP. The notification begun to ring as the system continued to spam health potions to keep him alive, making Hiroto grit his teeth as he felt his body slightly ache from the poison. Blaze, he casted, launching a wide wave of flames in front of him but wasn't able to reach the Hydra due to its short range, blocking their view before Hiroto hit the butt of his staff on the ground. Rock Prison, he casted as the rocks beneath them started to move, protruding out of the ground as it started to extend upwards, surrounding the Hydra's body as it trapped it inside of a large cage of stone, making Hiroto point his staff in the air. This is the reason why I fucking hate long incantations, he said as his mana to quickly drain but with the help of the system, managing to maintain the activation process of the spell as his mana potions started to deplete in his inventory. A large bright light then started to form above the cage, causing two of the Hydra's head to look up the blinding light while the other one fired poison breath at Hiroto, making Hiroto grit his teeth as he couldn't cast another spell during the activation of this high-level spell due to his quickly depleting mana, causing the liquid drench his body as the effects of the poison started to kick in. 70 HP, 70 HP, 70 HP. The notifications rang as he watched both his mana and health bar alternately decrease and increase at the same time. You have acquired Poison Resistance Advance. Finally, Hiroto muttered with a large grin on his face as the effects of the poison to dissipate. Let's see how you deal with this, he muttered before the temperature of the cave started to spike, evaporating the water underground as the ground started to release small ounce of water vapor in the air. Solar Flare, he casted as he swung his staff downwards, causing the bright orb in the sky to burst as flames engulfed the Hydra's entire body, melting a large portion of the part of the cave and turning it to lava. Hiroto remained silent, staring at the hellish-like scene in front of him as the fire started to die down, while only the sound of the flames were heard, causing Hiroto to sigh in relief. Your level has increased to 25, plus 15 status points. The notification rang as the body of the Hydra turned into particles before a single chest replaced its body. Congratulations, host, you're not as useless as we thought you were. Make up your mind if you want to praise or insult me, he said in an exhausted voice before he walked towards the chest, opening it with his right hand as golden light came out of the chest before a series of notifications appeared in front of him. You have acquired Moonlight Cloak. You have acquired Twilight Scepter. This is new, he muttered before clicking the button at the bottom right corner of the notification, causing more information about the equipment to appear in front of him. Unique series. I already know about that, he said as he skipped that and moved his eyes on the stats provided by the equipment. Moonlight Cloak, plus 40 VIT, 100% mana regeneration during night time, plus 10 int for every 1 hour that the player is basked in moonlight. Self-repairs during nighttime, empty skill slot. Are you the one who made this system? No, but it was prepared by the system for you once you achieve this kind of feat. It was especially made for your role as a mage, the system explained, causing Hiroto to smile at it in gratitude as it started to see the system in a new light, but immediately regretted it when he read what the system said next. What, are you brimming with gratitude towards us? Then please be more. Why won't you shove that pride up your ass? You were the one who dragged me in here and forced me into a debt, so don't go bragging your ass off since this isn't enough. I can't even bring this shit back at my dimension, he said in exasperation before equipping the armor, causing his body to get covered by a long black cloak with silver lines at the ends of the cloth. Inside was a simple black leather armor with the same designs as the cloak, while his hands and feet were covered by black leather armor with diamond-shaped silver decorated its top. Not bad, Hiroto said with a smile on his face while looking at his new equipment before he equipped his new staff, causing a large scepter that was taller than his own body to appear in his hand. The scepter had a long black pole while a silver crescent moon served as the scepter's head. In the middle of the crescent moon is a single black jewel that floated in the air. Twilight Scepter, plus 50 int, turns moonlight present in the holder's body into mana. Self-repairs during nighttime, empty skill slot. So, my equipment works best during nighttime, and acts like a normal equipment during daytime. That feature is really fucking shit, but I guess it does fit with the theme of the armor. He said before a look of regret surfaced on his face, making him look at the scepter with slight greed in his eyes. I really want to bring this scepter back, but that means I have to act as a cupid for Maple with another character. If the character that I'm posseing doesn't count, then I guess I have to give up bringing my equipment back at my dimension. He said with a sigh before preparing to leave the dungeon, causing him to look around to see that the entire dungeon was repaired back to its original appearance. System, if I summon Maple, will she bring her equipment with her? Yes, since you'll be pulling her avatar out of this dimension. Unlike you who will leave it behind, that's why rest assured since she'll retain her original equipment. The system said as Hiroto stepped out of the dungeon. Thanks goodness, he said with a sigh of relief, before the system added a few more words to its explanation, but was ignored by Hiroto who closed his eyes while stretching his body. Breathing in the fresh air as his body relaxed. Even her ability to level up and strengthen herself in this game will be retained. The only thing that she wouldn't be able to retain is her ability to obtain skills since she would be cut off from the game system of this dimension. The system said before immediately removing the words in its screen, giving Hiroto no chance to read the additional information. What the hell was that? I didn't even get to read it. It's nothing important, host. Chapter 6. Buying skills. It's getting really boring killing low-leveled monsters in this place, but I can't really leave since Maple is still here. Hiroto muttered while biting into a bread that he just bought from a store. Looking around the town before his eyes landed on top of a skill shop, making him swallow the bread inside his mouth before a smile appeared on his face. System, how many G do I have now? 810,000, if we counted the recent grinding of low-leveled monsters that you did before you came into the town. The system answered, making Hiroto walk towards the direction of the shop, pushing its door open as the scent of old paper entered his nose. Should I buy skills for Maple? I have plenty of G to spare, so I guess it's fine if I spent a few 100,000 on her. He muttered, causing the system to look at him strangely like it was looking at a simp. Making Hiroto unconsciously frown as he felt like the system was insulting him from behind. It's just your imagination, host. I haven't even said anything yet, Hiroto said while looking at the floating translucent screen with a frown on his face. Entering the shop before an old man wearing wizard's clothes greeted him from the counter. Welcome, the old man greeted, causing Hiroto to nod his head towards his direction before passing through him. Entering the large shelves filled with scrolls containing different skills from different classes. System, can you scan the entire place? I don't want to waste too much time searching for skills. 3 System Po, are you really charging me for that? Opening square bracket ... Fine, I'll do it for free. The system said before scanning the entire shop as a holographic net spread through the shelves. Collecting all information about the skills present in this place before showing it in front of Hiroto in a bullet list. Making Hiroto look at it in awe as he saw the large number of skills written in the translucent screen in front of him. That's a lot. Can you narrow it down to skills that a mage or a tank can use? He said, causing the list in front of him to immediately shorten into a few skills. Making him skim through the list before his eyes landed on certain skill, costing almost 50 kg. Staff Mastery 3. What does this skill do actually? He asked as he pressed the More Info button, causing the information about the skill to appear in front of him. Staff Mastery 3 increases magic damage dealt by 3% when a staff is equipped. System, where is this scroll located? He asked as a map of the shop appeared in front of him with a single orb shining in one of the shelves. Making him follow the orb, causing him to arrive in front of a shelf before he reached out his hand took out a scroll from the shelf. Show me the list again, he said, causing the list to appear once again in front of him. Searching through the list and narrowing it down to defensive skills that can help him in Maple, since he didn't really need any offensive skills thanks to his earth magic and fire magic skills. Evasion reduction of damage received by 1%. Parry reduction of damage received by 1%. MP strengthening large plus 200 MP. HP strengthening large plus 200 HP. Cover an adjacent party member from attacks. When used, VIT is increased by 10%. Pierce Guard, an activated skill that nullifies the effects of piercing attacks you receive with your shield. Cover move I, ignoring the AGI stat, move to a party member within a 5-meter radius. After being used, the damage received is doubled for 30 seconds. This should be enough, he muttered while carrying 12 skill scrolls in his arm and brought it to the old man. Paying a total of 300 kg for the 12 skills, causing the old man to smile from his large purchase. Please come back again, dear customer. The old man shouted while waving his hand at Hiroto, who left the shop and started to use the scrolls that were deemed useful to him. Using one of the 2 scrolls that he bought for parry, evasion, HP strengthening, and MP strengthening, along with the staff mastery skill that he bought, causing a series of notifications to appear in front of him. You have acquired staff mastery 3. You have acquired parry. You have acquired evasion. You have acquired HP strengthening large. You have acquired MP strengthening large. Are you planning on giving the girl the rest of the skills you bought? The system asked, causing Hiroto to smile at his direction, giving him a thumbs up as he walked towards the spawn area of the first floor. Yep, since Maple right now doesn't really have enough money to buy anything, he said before he saw Maple looking around while standing in front of the large fountain, making him wave his hand at her, causing her to look towards his direction. Hiroto-san, she called as she ran towards Hiroto at an extremely slow speed, making Hiroto's mouth to twitch, seeing her run so slow. Hiroto-san, were you waiting for me? She asked as she arrived in front of Hiroto before her eyes glanced at the new equipment he was wearing, making her look up at him with slight envy in her eyes. So I'm really the only one in my starter gear. Where did you get your equipment, Hiroto-san? She asked, causing Hiroto to smile before patting her head, taking out 7 skill scrolls that he bought and gave it to Maple, making her widen her eyes before taking the scrolls in his hand. This is for you, use it since I'm sure you'll need it. See, can I really have this? It looks rare. It's not that rare, I just bought it from a skill shop. It's my gift for you, so use it, he said, causing Maple to smile brightly before sitting down on the edge of the fountain, looking at the skill scrolls with sparkling eyes, reading the effects of the skills before using it without hesitation. Thank you, Hiroto-san, I will definitely repay you for this in the future, she said while clenching her fist in front of him, looking at him with a grateful expression on her face. Hiroto-san, have you been online for all this time? She asked before she watched Hiroto walk towards the west, causing Maple to follow him from behind. Yeah, you could say I was a bit too excited, that's why I logged in early and started playing, he said, causing Maple to nod her head in understanding. You too, I had a hard time focusing at school every time I remember how much fun we had yesterday, she cheerfully said with a bright smile on her face. Though, it's a bit of a shame that Riza can't join us today. Riza, is that the name of your friend? She's the one who invited me to play this game, I really want her to meet you. I'm sure the 3 of us will have fun playing together, she said as they left the town, walking on the long path towards the dungeon that Hiroto cleared a few hours ago. Hiroto-san, where are we going? You wanted new equipments, right? I'm bringing you to the place where I got my equipment, he said as he lowered his pace to match her speed, making Maple scratch her cheek, feeling a bit shy from receiving so much of his help. Don't look at me like that. We're friends, right? Friends help each other out, and I did this because I wanted to. You helped me a lot yesterday, so think of this as my payment for your help, he said before he spun his staff and hit a charging rabbit monster on the head, sending it away from them before he fired a fireball at its direction, killing it instantly before its body started to turn into pixels. Hiroto-san, what level are you now? 25, he casually answered, causing Maple to widen her eyes in astonishment and surprise, making her look at him in awe. You managed to raise your level that much in just a few hours, she said before she ran in front of Hiroto and bowed her head, clenching the shield in her hand while staring at him in the eyes. Master, please teach me your ways. Please don't call me that, you can also do it if you just grind, so it's not really an amazing feat. I'm also here, so I'll help you match my level, Hiroto said with a helpless smile on his face before he noticed the cave in front of them. We're here, Hiroto said as they arrived in front of a dungeon, making Maple look around in curiosity as he took out the excess stack of HP potions that he has and giving it to her. Good luck, he said with a smile on his face, causing Maple to look at him in confusion. "You're not coming with me. Well, you only get the equipment that you want if you clear this by yourself. From my experience of entering this dungeon, I'm pretty sure you can handle it yourself. Just use the potions that I gave you if you're in a tough spot," he said as he patted her back, assuring her that everything will be fine, causing Maple to nod her head before running inside the cave with her shield in front of her, leaving Hiroto, who sat leaned against the trunk of a tree. After this, we'll have to move to the next town, so that she can obtain that loving sacrifice skill," he said with a serious expression on his face, trying to remember the specifics of the quest that helped Maple obtain the skill. He already gave up in strengthening himself further and only wanted Maple to get stronger, since he did have the system after all. System, what will happen to this dimension when I leave?" he asked as he laid down on the ground, using his own hands as his pillow while staring at the bright blue sky above him. "The time in this dimension will be either continue or get frozen in place. That all depends on the decision of the host. You will gain full authority over the rift that you used to enter this place, and as long as it is under your authority, you can enter it as you wish as long as you pay enough system points. You can also sell this authority to the system, and depending on the evaluation of the system over the dimension in question, you can sell it at a price ranges from 100,900 system points." What? He muttered before suddenly sitting up from the ground, looking at the system with a trace of excitement in his eyes. So I can ente. Of course, you will not be able to retain your skills and abilities anymore in this dimension since that is a reward for the quest. We won't allow you to just enter and leave this dimension while retaining everything you gained in the process. That would make you overly reliant to the dimension," the system explained, pouring cold water over his excitement, making Hiroto sigh before laying back down on the ground. There's so much restrictions, it's getting a bit frustrating," he muttered before he closed his eyes, falling asleep as the cold breeze swept through his skin while waiting for Maple. Opening square bracket. "I'm surprised you can sleep in this kind of place, host. Time skip, Hiroto-san, huh?" Hiroto muttered as he suddenly woke up from his light sleep as he heard Maple's excited and loud voice from the cave, causing Hiroto to widen his eyes in shock before looking at Maple's direction. Wearing the black rose armor, new moon and mirror of the Black Knight on her body. "How long was I asleep?" 3 hours, Hiroto-san, look at my new armor. Isn't it cool?" she yelled while waving her hand at him, arriving in front of him who was sitting down on the ground. "You were right, this dungeon isn't really that hard," she added, making Hiroto's mouth to twitch, remembering how hard it was for him to deal with the dungeon himself. She's a living manifestation of a bug in game. For once, I agree with you, host. Chapter 7. Helping Maple with her quest. Hiroto-san, it tastes like pop candy, right? Maple said with a cute smile on her face as they walked towards the next town, holding a large ladybug monster in their hands as Hiroto was forced to eat it by Maple, making him look extremely pale as he never once expected that he would eat bugs in his life, a live one at that. "Why yeah," Hiroto said as he resisted the urge to vomit, making Maple smile brightly hearing how he liked it. "I really can't say no to that kind of face. You have acquired bomb eater. You have acquired foul feeding." The notification rang as they arrived in front of the town, making Maple marvel on the high stone walls that built the infrastructures of the town. "Have you been here before, Hiroto-san?" she asked as they entered the city, making her excitedly look around the shops, causing Hiroto to gently smile at her direction. "Does this count as a date?" he muttered to himself but immediately shook his head to the side, denying his own thoughts, causing Maple, who was walking beside him, to glance at him with slightly flushed cheeks. "Date," she whispered as she glanced at his arm, resisting the urge to warp her arms to his to make them, causing her to lower her head with a pout. "What's wrong?" Hiroto asked as she noticed that she suddenly remained silent, causing Maple to shyly blush before moving closer to him. "See, can we hold hands?" she said but whispered towards the end of her sentence. "You want to hold hands?" he asked with a teasing smile on his face, causing Maple to blush red down to her neck, looking away in shyness, making Hiroto nervously look at her, hesitating for a bit before he reached out his right hand towards her left. Maple, who felt the warmth of his hand, flinched as she felt Hiroto intertwine his fingers with hers, making her peek at Akihiro, who had the same shy expression on his face as it was his first time holding a girl's hand that was not his sister. Quote. They both shyly averted her eyes from one another as they both created a cute scene of an innocent couple on their first date. Is this your first date? How cute. Ojushin, want me to recommend a restaurant for the both of you? The crowd said as they teased both of them, causing their blush to increase in a deeper shade. There are a lot of people here, aren't there? He asked as he felt his own hand sweat, making him nervously gulp, hoping that Maple wouldn't notice. She said as her hand sweated buckets from her own nervousness, causing her to look at Hiroto in a panic. Hoping that he wouldn't find it weird or disgusting. Host, you should get used to dealing with women, since you'll be dealing with them a lot more often than you think. You're making it sound really fucking easy, don't you? He thought with an exasperated expression on his face before he heard the coughing of a woman on his right. Making him quickly look at the direction of the sound, leading to a narrow alley with a small entrance and dusty walls. Found it, he said before he glanced at Maple, who was stiffly walking beside him while holding his hand. Making him smile before pulling her inside the narrow alley. Hiroto-san, where are you, taking me? She asked as her mind filtered out everything except for his voice, preventing her from hearing the coughing girl inside building. Maple, I want you to do something from me, he said, causing Maple to lower her head as her heartbeat quickened and grew louder. Nervously fidgeting her feet on the ground. What is it? I hope it doesn't bother you or anything. Quote. It won't, she said as she looked at Hiroto, who was inching closer, making her nervously gulp before she closed her eyes and tiptoed to reach his chin, puckering her lips towards his direction as she waited for him to kiss her. That's great, Hiroto said with a smile on his face as he separated himself from her and pointed at the entrance of the building, making Maple, who was waiting for him to make a move, to peek at him with a trace of confusion in her eyes. There's a quest at the NPC inside that would be very beneficial to you. I want you to go and clear that quest. Quote. Maple looked at him with a slight frown on her face before following his hand pointed at an old door, making her sulk before glancing at Hiroto, who had a smile on his face. Quote. Idiot, she whispered to herself as she leaned her head against his chest, making him look at her in confusion before she hit his chest with her hands. She then immediately walked towards the door in a slightly angry mood, having the urge to just slap him in the face, but stopped as that could make him hate her. So she just sulked while going towards the door in hopes that he would notice something. You're pathetic. I'm disappointed that I have you as my host. Huh, what the fuck is it so suddenly? He whispered with a trace anger in his eyes. Nothing. You just missed a great opportunity to take a step forward to graduate from your virgin self, but you just blew it. It makes me want to deduct system points from you, host. Quote. What are you talking about? He said before two notifications appeared in front of him. Continuous quest complete. Reward. 10 system points, 1x character ticket. He muttered in surprise as he read the notification over and over again, making his eyes bulge out of its sockets before he looked at the direction of the door in disbelief. She was anticipating a kiss from you, but you blew it. Hiroto muttered as he held his head with his arms, kneeling on the ground before started to smash his own head to the wall. Shit, he shouted as he resisted the urge to punch himself in the face from regret. He was too focused on making her stronger that he didn't notice that it was the perfect mood to solidify their relationship, making him roughly scratch his own hair. Motherfucker, why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to ruin the mood. That's why I delayed the notification so that you can take a step further with her. Two need to talk. Don't even dare do that. It would make you look desperate and creepy. She would only feel threatened around if you do something like that. Arghhhh. He shouted as Maple walked out of the door together with a woman, seeing him writhing on the ground, causing the woman to look at him with a strange expression on her face while Maple ran towards him in worry. What's wrong? She asked, causing him to freeze before blushing in embarrassment, not expecting for her to see his pitiful appearance right now. Nothing. Two just remembered something that I need to take care of. I'll meet you again later, Maple, he said with a cough, causing the woman to look at him suspiciously, making him awkwardly scratch his head in response. SSO, did you accept her quest? Yes, it requires me to bring her to a location without letting her die. CCAN, you come with me please. I'm not good with this kind of quest since I'm slow, she said, causing Hiroto to pat her head in response, remembering how she completed this quest in the anime by flying towards their location using her turtle that she obtained from the second event. Since he rushed the plot, this means that she would now partake in this quest on foot. Let's go. Time skip. This is really convenient, isn't it? Maple said while looking at the large wall of rocks in front of them as the three of them were lifted up in the air using a earth pillar, making Maple look at the ground in awe. Lead the way, he said towards Maple, who nodded her head and looked at her map, pointing to the direction of the spring in the quest. Let's see. Earth wall, he casted, causing another wall to appear in front of them as they continued their journey towards the spring, making the woman to look on the ground with a frown on her face. There are many fearsome monsters in the forest. Please be careful. Well, they really can't reach us, so it doesn't really matter, Maple said as Hiroto continued to create walls in front of them. It's a good thing that they can't see us very well to point their aggression towards us, or else we might have started to climb this wall, he whispered before the woman pointed towards the left where a large pond surrounded by a beautiful scenery was found, making Hiroto create a wall pointed at its direction before he create a set of pillar on the edge of the last wall to act as stairs for them. We're here, he said, making the woman run towards the pond together with Maple, holding a vial in her hands as she scooped water from the pond, making her smile in joy as she held the vial dearly in her arms. Thank you very much. With this my daughter can be saved, she said as she wiped her tears at the corner of her eyes, making Maple smile at her before she held her hand. Let's go back, she said as Hiroto hit the butt of his spear on the ground, creating a large pillar of soil beneath them that lifted them up from the ground. This was an easy quest, Maple said as they started to walk on top of the walls that Hiroto created leading to the town, creating a peaceful atmosphere around them as Maple happily skipped on top of the walls. The woman suddenly grunted as she fell on the ground, making Maple hurriedly hold her in worry. Thank you for protecting me, she said as she placed her hand on her own chest, looking at them with a grateful expression on her face. If you hadn't done so, I would have died back there. Both Hiroto and Maple said in confusion, confused on why she suddenly acted like that. Thanks to you, we managed to escape those monsters. I don't know how can I thank you enough. Hiroto-san, why is she speaking like that? Maple asked as she walked closer to Hiroto, who had an awkward smile on his face. She's following the script of the developers, he said, making him hide his smile in response. Even though he expected that they will bug the game, it was still a bit weird and funny seeing her acting like that when they haven't even done any fighting. You risked your life for us, total strangers. You are really kind, she said, making Maple look back at the forest of monsters as she understood what was happening. Hiroto-san, she called, causing Hiroto to scratch his hair with an awkward expression on his face, since she technically did the same in the anime. How to say this? Sorry for breaking the game. Chapter 8. Leaving Bofuri. Quest complete. A notification read in front of him, causing him to look at it with a frown before lifting his foot that was stepping on an undead monster. Shit, I didn't track my level. I was having too much fun today, I didn't fucking noticed it, he thought before looking at Maple with a hint of panic in his eyes, but calmed himself down, coming up with a plan to convince her to come with him inside his mind with very limited time. To his judgment, convincing Maple to come with him will be very difficult if he tries to lie his way out. Shit, system, can I temporarily summon her to my dimension? You can, but you only have 20 minutes. That's the maximum time that I can give you to let her explore your dimension. That's good enough. This is a bit risky, but I hope it works, he thought before she suddenly heard Maple's voice echo in front of him. Today was a lot of fun, Hiroto-san, Maple said as she skipped in front of Hiroto, who steadily followed her from behind after hours of playing with him, making him look at her with a smile on his face seeing how happy she is. Today was a lot of fun, he said before his face turned into a serious one, but was not noticed by Maple, who stopped in the middle of the forest leading to the town, looking back at Hiroto with a wide smile on her face. Let's play again tomorrow, Hiroto-san, she said as Hiroto stopped 1 meter away from her, looking at her cheerful expression before Maple opened the settings of the game to log out. See again you tomorrow, she said, but only received silence, making her look at him weirdly since normally he would immediately respond to what she said. Noticing the strangeness in his expression, causing her to feel nervous. Feeling like something bad is about to happen. I think, I won't be able to play again tomorrow, he said as Maple stared at him in the eyes, visibly shaken by what he said before she forced a smile on her face. Then let's play the day after tomorrow. Maple, I'm quitting the game, he said, causing Maple's smile to freeze on her face before looking at him in disbelief. You're quitting, she asked, causing Hiroto to nod his head in response. But why, didn't we have so much fun today? She asked, her voice shook from nervousness. Standing still, all trace of cheerfulness disappeared from her. We did, it was really fun, Maple, that's why I'm a bit reluctant in quitting. You're really quitting? Yes, but don't worry. I'm sure you'll find someone else to play with. There are many other players in this game that can help you, he said with a smile on his face, walking towards Maple before giving her a pat on the head. I'll have to leave by tomorrow, and I probably won't be able to play anymore, he says in a soft voice, causing the girl in front of him to look up at him, making him see her trembling pupils. You still have your friend to play with, right? I'm sure we'll meet each other again in the future, he said as Maple opened her mouth but didn't know what to say, making her lower her head down in front of her before she held his cloak with her hand. In suffocating silence devoured their location as none of them spoke. Hiroto just let her hold his equipment as she silently stood in front of her without any signs of movement. Maple, can you at least give me your contact number, so that I can still talk to you? Would you believe me if I said I don't have a phone? He asked with a light smile on his face, before the hand holding his cloak suddenly tightened. Where are you going, to suddenly leave like this? To a faraway place, he said as he gently patted her head while she slowly looked up at him, wiping the small droplets of tears at the corner of her eyes. Feeling her heart go in a turmoil due to the effects of Hiroto's action of manipulating the reality of this dimension, aiding him in influencing how Maple sees him. I see, she said as Hiroto to place his forehead on top of hers. Are you sad? Of course, you were, she said but stopped her words, causing Hiroto to smile in response. Then, what if I told you I can bring you with me, would you come with me, Maple? He asked, causing Maple to widen her eyes in surprise before looking at him in the eyes. Why you will bring me with you? Yes, I've grown quite attached to you too, Maple, and I don't want to let you go just like that. But, where will we go? She asked while looking at Hiroto who was talking with the system. Would you like to confirm the completion of the quest? I'll show you, and if you don't want to come with me, I'll return you here, he said while answering yes to the system, causing a large rift in space appeared in front of them, making Maple look at it in shock before Hiroto suddenly pulled her inside. Wait, she said but was far too late as she was engulfed by the rift, making her close her eyes while they arrived inside of Hiroto's apartment. Clean thoroughly without any trace of garbage unlike in the past while a single note was placed on his small table. Maple, open your eyes, he said, causing Maple to take a peek but froze when she saw that they were inside of an apartment, making her look around in awe before looking at Hiroto's direction. Where are we? Is this a new map? She asked, causing Hiroto to shake his head to the side. Maple, what if I told you I didn't belong to that world? I'm just a visitor, and this place is where I came from, he said as he pulled her out of the apartment, causing her to see the familiar scene of the real world outside of the game, making her widen her eyes in bewilderment. Hiroto, how? Maple, this is my world, he said as Maple looked at her own body, noticing that her equipment was still in place before she checked her status, shocked that it really appeared in front of her. I can't believe it, she said as she tries to digest everything that was happening in front of her, making Hiroto smile before he pulled her inside the apartment, since it would be really weird if his neighbors saw her wearing that kind of outfit. Hiroto-san was not from my world, she asked as Hiroto prepared a glass of water for her to help her calm down, making him nod his head as he let her sit down on his bed. Yes, just try to calm down, alright, he said as he passed the glass to Maple before sitting down on the bed at a considerable distance from her. Let me digest everything first, she said as she drank the water in her hands, making Hiroto smile before he suddenly felt pain all over his body as 2 notifications appeared in front of him. Please prepare for a body of possession of the host's original body. The character that the host is possessing will not be returned back to the dimension. The notification read, making Hiroto panic before he suddenly ran towards his bathroom, leaving Maple alone who dazedly looked at ceiling. I forgot, he said before his soul was suddenly extracted out of his body, making him feel weak as all senses of his body disappeared like he was one with air, causing him to see his own body fall down on the ground. What? He muttered as he looked at his own arm. Seeing that it was translucent caused him to panic as he watched the body on the ground get sucked by a rift in the space, making the system spit out his body that fell on the bathroom floor. Please stay still, host, the system said before he felt his spiritual body get forcefully pulled inside his original body, making his vision temporarily blacked out before he regained it along with his senses, causing him to stand up in shock, looking at his own body as he proceeded to examine it. What the fuck just happened? He said while breathing heavily, remembering the weird sensation of losing all of his senses like he was stuck in a dream where he couldn't move, causing a drop of sweat to flow down his cheek. Body possession process complete. Host, please avoid bringing he character's body in your dimension next time. Your soul was almost damaged if I hadn't reacted quickly. SSO the pain just now. Yes, that was you feeling a crack in your soul since you were a soul that was inside an incompatible body. The reason why you felt no pain in the past due to the interference of the system. As long as the quest exists, you will not feel any pain or damage in your soul while possessing a different body, but that's a totally different story when you confirmed its completion. Just like what you did a while ago. The system explained as he watched his host pant while kneeling on the ground. Like he couldn't believe what just happened. Next time, leave the dimension travel to us. You might kill yourself if you act recklessly again in the future. To understand, Hiroto said as he wiped his sweat with his arm, trying to calm his emotions down before he heard someone knock on the door of the bathroom. Hiroto-san, are you in there? Maple asked in worry, hearing his panicked and pained tone from the bathroom, making Hiroto glance at the direction of the door. Are you alright? Yes, I'm fine, Hiroto said as he hurriedly wiped his sweat away, making Maple sigh in relief before the thought of Hiroto's invitation surfaced on her mind. Hiroto, about your invitation. What is it? Hiroto asked as he felt his heartbeat thump in his chest, anxious about her answer to his invitation, causing him to nervously clench his fist as he waited for her answer. If I leave, what will happen to my world? To my parents and friends? What will happen to them? She asked as she placed her palm on the door, causing Hiroto to contemplate before he answered her question. Time will be frozen in your world. Even if you stayed here for 2 years, not even 1 second has passed in your world. So even if we return back to your world, everything will still remain the same, he answered, causing Maple to lower her head, thinking about what she should do, since if what Hiroto said was true, then nothing will change to her world even if she stays with him. What if I grow old in your world? She can't grow old in a dimension not her own. So the concept of age is removed from their bodies after you've summoned them. That is one of the features that the system has added due to avoid the host from committing suicide after watching his loved one die, and to resolve a few problems concerning the time ratio between dimensions. You sound like you've experienced your host committing suicide. Because we did, multiple times after they watch their partner die of old age when they can't die due to the system. Think of it as a kind of reward for your services. The system said, causing Hiroto to nod his head as he flashed a grateful smile at the system's direction. You will not grow old physically, Maple, but only mentally. That's why even after 12 or so years, you would still stay the same. You can't die from old age in this world, he said in an assuring voice, causing Maple to clench her fist that was on top of her chest, hesitating on her decision for a few minutes of silence before she answered him. I want to be with you, Hiroto. Chapter 9, Rewards. The system is now calculating your performance. Performance, B+. +50 system points has been rewarded. The host's previous status is now being transformed into skills. The notification rang as Hiroto was sitting on his bed, looking at the floating translucent screen in front of him while Maple was sitting between his legs, wearing his loose shirt as she had no clothes to wear other than her armor. "What's that?" she asked while pointing at the floating notification in front of them, making Hiroto look at her in surprise. "You can see this?" he asked, causing Maple to nod her head in response. "Yes. Am I not supposed to see this?" "Not really. It's just that it's mostly invisible to everyone else, so I was a bit surprised that you can see it," he said as Maple leaned closer to his chest, causing his body to freeze in place while Maple put her ear next to his chest, making her hear his loud heartbeat. "Hiroto, are you dating anyone in your world?" she asked as she looked up at him, looking at him with an anxious yet hopeful expression on her face. "How do you expect a hardcore NEET to have a chance to go out with someone?" "Shut the fuck up, system," Hiroto angrily shouted inside his mind before looking at Maple, who was looking at him with a pitiful expression on her face while her hands was placed on his chest. "I'm not dating anyone, really," she asked with a bright expression on her face, making Hiroto nod his head as she sweetly smiled in front of him. "You're not dating anyone, that's good," she whispered to herself as she lowered her head and leaned it against his chest, making Hiroto resist the urge to just hug her, afraid that she would react negatively to his advances. "SSO, why did you agree to come with me? You even left your family and friends behind. And nothing will happen to them like you said, and it's because you're here," she said as her voice slowly became quieter, causing her ears to turn red, making Hiroto smile as he mustered up his courage and hugged her in his arms, making Maple flinch in surprise, but didn't stop him, wrapping her own arms around his back as she buried her face on his chest. "Maple, Kaide," she said as she looked at Hiroto with a slight frown on her face, making Hiroto look at her in confusion. "Hanjo Kaide, that's my real name. SSO, call me by my real name, Hiroto," she said, causing Hiroto avert his eyes from her while scratching his cheek. "MMA, Kaide," she stubbornly said as her arms tightened around him. Kaide, quote. "One more time, Kaide, more. Kaide," Hiroto said, causing Maple to show a sweet and joyful smile at his direction, making Hiroto blush, causing him to cover his face with the back of his hand. He, she cutely laughed while looking at his red ears, making her snuggle in his arms, causing Hiroto to fake a cough as he changed the subject. "Kaide, what kind of mansion do you want?" he asked, causing Kaide to look at him in confusion from his sudden question. "Why are you asking for something like that so suddenly? We can't live in this small apartment together, right? I want to buy a mansion for us. Just say what kind of mansion you want and I'll buy it for you," he said as he caressed her soft black hair, causing her to look at him in surprise. "Are you rich in this world, Hiroto?" Quote. "Kind of, but I know for sure that I can provide for you so that you'll get to live lavishly. So, what kind of mansion do you want?" Quote. "I'm already comfortable here, Hiroto. There's no need for you to buy a mansion. It's not good to waste too much money, you know." "I'm not wasting money, that's why don't hold back," he assured, causing Kaide to contemplate, looking at his serious expression before she buried her face on his neck. Quote. "I'll leave it to you." Quote. "Then, do you want a pool?" he asked, causing Kaide to nod her head in response, making him look at the direction of the system. "Conversion of status and skills is still under process. System, can you show me a good recommendation for a mansion? What theme would you wish your home to have? What's your recommendations, I guess?" he asked, causing two large images of a luxurious mansions appeared in front of him, making him look at the system in surprise. "The mansion can either be built from scratch or bought whole. I recommend it for you to build it from scratch so that you can choose and obtain a large land for yourself, since there is a large possibility of many different characters living in your house," the system said, causing Hiroto to nod his head in understanding, looking at the recommendation of the system. "That means, I can ask for 2 mansions to be built when I choose the land, right? The second one will cost you 10 system points. Only the first mansion is free. You won't need to buy any furniture since the organization will do that themselves to fit the theme of the mansion," the system said, making Hiroto sigh before pointing at one of the system's recommendations. "I want this one. I recommend you to buy 3 mansions, host," Since you will be taking home a lot of characters in the future, it's recommended that you prepare yourself to those kinds of situation. The system said as it showed the 3 large mansions in front him, making him look at the system in astonishment. What the fuck will I do with 3 mansions? Just trust me, host. I'll install an auto-cleaning runes around the mansion so that you won't need to maintain it yourself. Quote. Seriously, what will I do with that large property? I'll give you a 50% discount for the 2 mansions. I'll think about it in the future, alright. I just want this one for now, Hiroto said, causing the system to pause while looking at his stubborn expression, making it helplessly follow his orders. Please give us 1 week to find a suitable land and to finish reconstruction of this mansion, the system said as it recorded down the mansion that Hiroto chose, making him look at the system in surprise. You'll build this in 1 week? You have to be joking, right? He said while pointing at the 3 images in front of him while Kaide looked at the display in awe, showing a wide 2-story luxurious mansion with 2 glass pools, making her glance at Hiroto with a look of hesitation on her face. The construction team of the organization consists of other system holders, so it is possible to build this within a few days. Just wait and hang out with this girl in that time span, host, the system assured as Kaide pulled his sleeves, making him look down at her, causing him to see her conflicted expression. Is it really alright for me to live in there? She asked in uncertainty, causing Hiroto to smile at her direction, patting her head as his other hand was wrapped around her waist. Of course, everything that I own is also yours. This will be our home from now on, he said, causing Kaide to blush from his bold statement like he was declaring that she was his wife. Quite a bold statement, host. Single quote. Well, I dragged her here after all, so it's only natural that I'll be the one to take care of her, right? It's better if she feels comfortable with it, that's why I said everything is also her property. Opening square bracket. So that's what you meant, the system said before glancing at Maple, who was muttering gibberish with her head lowered. Hiroto, where in the world have you been? I got a call from your school last night. What do you think you're doing skipping your classes? A loud voice of a woman echoed from outside the apartment, making Hiroto flinch in response as his door was suddenly kicked open, revealing a beautiful woman with long blue hair. Looking around the room to find Hiroto. You shitty neat, his sister shouted but froze when she saw Kaide hugging his brother, making her drop the baseball bat in her arms as a look of shock appeared on her face. Oh no, Hiroto said before his sister suddenly punched him in the face, smashing his head against the wall as his sister was looking at Kaide like she was Angel, making her nervously fidget in her seat. Hiroto, why didn't you tell me that you got yourself a cute girlfriend? She angrily shouted before holding Kaide's hand. Gee, girlfriend, she muttered as her face flushed, not denying her assumption as his sister looked at her with sparkling eyes. What's your name? How long have you two been dating? When did you two meet? She hurriedly asked, causing Kaide to get overwhelmed by her questions as her eyes spun, making Hiroto push her sister away from her. Don't bother her, you fucking gorilla. Huh, what the fuck did you say, useless brother of mine? She angrily said as vein bulged out of her forehead, making Hiroto choke on his words as he saw her menacing expression. Is this why you haven't gone to school for the past month? I thought you got rejected. Rejected? Kaide asked while glancing at Hiroto, who was hugging her protectively. Why you confessed to another girl? She asked as she felt slightly annoyed as she imagined Hiroto confess his love to another girl, making her chest tighten as she looked at him with a pained expression on her face. Sister, please don't tell her this nonsense. Nonsense? It's the reason why you became a NEET, how can you call it nonsense? She said with a frown on her face, causing Hiroto's eyes to tremble, making Kaide notice the sudden shift in his emotions. Hiroto, she asked as her pained expression was replaced with worry, holding his cheeks with her hands. I'm fine, I just remembered an unpleasant memory, that's all, he said, making his sister grin while looking at their close relationship, grabbing her phone from her pocket before she contacted their parents. Mom, I got some good news. Oi, what the fuck are you doing? Hiroto shouted as he stood up and tried to grab her phone away, making her step back to dodge his arm with a wide smirk on her face. What, are you planning on hiding your girlfriend from our parents? She said before glancing at Kaide, making her pull Hiroto away as they stepped inside the bathroom, leaving Kaide alone, who looked at them in astonishment. What's wrong with you? Do you even know how worried mom and dad is about you? She asked with a frown, cutting him off before she could even finish his sentence. You haven't contacted any of us for a month. After you confessed to that bitch, everything just went down the drain. What the hell are you doing with your life, Hiroto? Quote. Hiroto remained silent as he bit his lip, making his sister sigh as she held her forehead. Quote. I heard what happened at school. Hiroto, why didn't you tell any of us about this? Are we even your family? Quote. It's a mess I caused myself. I don't want to bother you or our parents about it, he said, causing his sister to look at him with a helpless expression on her face. Do you want to transfer to another school? I think it's much better than letting you experience the rest of your senior high like this. No, I'll handle this myself, sis. I just needed some time to cool off, Hiroto assured, looking at his sister with a serious expression on his face. Quote. Fine, I'll talk with your teachers tomorrow to give you a week off, she said as she crossed her arms beneath her chest. Sis, I forgot to ask this, but were you the one who cleaned my room? No, Mom came here a few minutes ago and cleaned your room, his sister said, causing Hiroto to frown in response. What time is it now? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Didn't we give you an alarm clock? His sister said, causing Hiroto's eyes to widen as confusion devoured his entire face, making his sister look at him with a weird expression on her face. Is something bothering you? His sister asked, causing Hiroto to raise his hand in front of her in response. Nothing. See, can you lend Kaide a few of your clothes? She doesn't have any clothes right now, so I hope you can lend her a few in the meantime. I'll buy her a few clothes with my own money later on. Quote. I can. I still need to go home and pick it up. That's fine. We'll wait for you here, he said as she looked at him in suspicion, finding that something was strange about him before reluctantly leaving the bathroom. Quote. Sure, I'll be quick, she said, leaving Hiroto inside as he locked the door. System, only 30 minutes passed in this place. The time in the dimension you're diving into will be accelerated in comparison to the time in this one. Thanks to this, we can adjust the time ratio between yours and different dimensions. We can't allow you to go missing for prolonged periods of time, or else it might alert your acquaintances in this dimension. If, for example, you'll dived into a dimension where the main quest has a limit of 30 years. We will adjust the time ratio so that 1 year in that dimension is 2 minutes in this one. This is thanks to the complications that the previous host experienced in the past. So adjustments were made to solve this issue, the system explained before a sudden notification appeared in front of him. Conversion has been completed. Would you like to see the notifications? The system asked, causing Hiroto to pick yes without hesitation, making a large string of notifications to appear in front of him that covered his entire sight, causing him to unconsciously smile in excitement. You have received pain tolerance high. You have received magic resistance. You have received enhanced vitality. You have received enhanced mana capacity medium. You have received staff mastery. You have received magic affinity high. You have received bomb eater. You have received foul feeding. You have received giant killing. You have received hardened defense. You have received poison resistance advance. You have received enhanced agility. You have received evasion. You have received parry. You have received fire magic. You have received earth magic. You have received arsonist. The skills arsonist has been absorbed by fire magic. Effectiveness and mana cost of spells from the fire magic category has been significantly improved. Affinity and effectiveness of water and ice magic spells has been degraded. The skills evasion, parry, and enhanced agility has been absorbed by enhanced reflexes. You have received enhanced reflexes medium. The skill magic resistance, enhanced vitality, pain tolerance high, and hardened defense has been absorbed by enhanced physical strength. You have received supreme physique low. Status has now been modified, the notification said, overwhelming Hiroto from the number of notifications that suddenly appeared in front of him, but decided to just remove everything in front of him as he looked at the system's direction. Show me my status. Kirishima Hiroto. Age, 18. Soul ranking, Tier 1. Passive skills, enhanced reflexes medium, supreme physique low, enhanced charm, bomb eater, giant killing, magic affinity high, enhanced mana capacity medium, staff mastery, poison resistance advance. Active skills, foul feeding, alluring scent, fire magic, earth magic. Number of summons, 1. Kaide Hanju, system points, 100. Chapter 10, a sketchy source of income. Host, I recommend that you start working out starting now. Huh, why? Hiroto asked in confusion as he was reading through the skills, making him look at the direction of the system with a strange expression on his face. Your current physical strength doesn't match your skinny body. It would look weird and gather suspicion to the people of this dimension. That's why to match your physical strength, you must improve your body. That would take months. I doubt that I would be able to cover it up in that time frame. I still have to return to school a week from now. You don't have to worry since in just 4 days of intense exercising, you would be able to achieve an appropriate body for your physical strength. Your skill, Supreme Physique, will aid you in achieving a lean and muscular body. The system explained, causing Hiroto to groan, not wanting to do what the system wants, causing the system to look at him in exasperation. Helpless about its lazy host before it showed him a notification that would make him more motivated to exercise. Chain quest. Finish the exercise routine provided by the system. Curl-ups 0/50ths. Push-ups 0/50ths. Squats 0/50ths. Chin-ups 0/50ths. Running 0/4 kilometer. Reward, 5 system points. Limit, 24 hours. Failure, degrading of 1 random skill. Chain, quest. Yes, it is a type of quest that continues after you've finished the preceding quests. It is the type of quest that gets harder and harder over time, but the rewards get better in each succeeding quests. You're really hellbent in making me exercise, don't you? Of course, it will solve many of the problems posed by your sudden increase in physical strength. The system said, causing Hiroto to look at the quest with a frown, making him sigh in response while looking at the reward of the quest. How about Kaide? How will you explain her extreme defense? Her case is much more easier to handle since your summon's abnormal abilities are sealed while in this dimension. And it would only activate under 2 conditions. The system explained, causing Hiroto to look at the system with a curious expression on his face. What are the conditions? If they're in danger or they're engaging in battle. If one of those 2 situations occurs, their powers will be unsealed and they would be able to use them normally. How about my abilities? Your abilities cannot be sealed since you're the host of the system. It can only be adjusted, but that itself is almost non-existent in this dimension. Systems don't normally seal the abilities of their host for safety reasons. Safety reasons? Hiroto asked with a frown while looking at the system in suspicion. Suspicious that the system left a few details in his explanation, like why is the adjustment almost non-existence in this dimension, and what did he meant by safety reasons. That is something that you will eventually know in the future, but not now. Your only goal is grow stronger, and enhance the power of your soul. The system said, making Hiroto's frown to grow deeper before he heard his sister leave his apartment, causing him to open the door of the bathroom. Hiroto, your sister, is really energetic, Kaide said as Hiroto got out of the bathroom, making Hiroto dryly laugh as he sat down on the bed, laying down beside her with a tired expression on his face. My sister has always been like that. She's pretty blunt with her words, but she's a good person. I'm sure both of you will get along, he said before he noticed her shyly fidgeting in her place, stealing occasional glances at him like she was hesitating on something. SSO, you confessed to someone. Yeah, but that was a thing of the past, and it didn't really end well, he said as he stared at the ceiling of his apartment. Do you still love her, Hiroto? Kaide asked in an anxious voice as she played with her fingers, making Hiroto glance at her direction with a serious expression on his face. I did, but that doesn't really matter anymore, does it? I have you now after all, he said, causing Kaide to look at him in surprise, making Hiroto's heart to skip a beat from seeing her expression, causing him to doubt himself. Shit, why did I say that? He shouted in regret inside of his mind, remembering that the quest said to seduce a major characters, which is far different from making her fall for him. So sorry, if I was assuming things. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, he hurriedly said as he sat up from the bed, looking at Kaide with a worried expression on his face. It wasn't uncomfortable, she said as she held his hand while her cheeks flushed increasingly red, making Hiroto dazedly stare at her in the eye. Hiroto, why you didn't deny your sister a while ago, when she said that I was your girlfriend? Does this mean that we're dating now? She asked, causing Hiroto to choke on his words while looking at her serious expression, making him blush before averting his eyes away from Kaide. "If you're alright with someone like me. Opening square bracket. What an awkward couple," the system said as Kaide sweetly smiled as she heard his answer, making her feel overwhelming joy as she tightly held his hand. "Please take care of me, Hiroto," she said, causing Hiroto feel stuffy, dazedly looking at her smile like it was a dream. Having a cute girlfriend like her when he already gave up on getting one after what he experienced weeks ago. "I love you too, Hiroto," the voice of a woman said inside of his mind, causing him to frown from remembering an unpleasant memory of the past. Single quote. That shitty woman, he thought before glancing at Kaide who was looking at him with a smile on her face. "Hiroto?" Kaide asked, causing Hiroto to pat her on the head with a bright smile, making her look at him in confusion. "Nothing, I just remembered a few bad memories," he said before his door was suddenly kicked open, making both of them flinch in response as his sister barged inside while carrying a paper bag in her hands, containing her old clothes and a new pair of underwear. "I'm back, I bought some clothes with me," she shouted before noticing the strange atmosphere inside the room, making her frown before looking at Kaide's direction. "Did something happen while I was gone?" "Nothing happened," he responded, making his sister look at them in suspicion. "You didn't fight with her, right?" "Of course not," Hiroto shouted in anger, as his sister dropped the plastic bag on top of his drawers, looking at the two of them with a slight grin on her face. "Hiroto, come here a minute," she said as she signaled for him to come closer, causing Hiroto to look at her in suspicion, wondering what she was up to. "Do you want me to punch you to make you come here?" she said with a frown on her face, causing Hiroto to flinch as he hurriedly ran towards his sister's side, making her nod her head in satisfaction. "Here," she said as she placed a box of condoms on his hand, making Hiroto look at her with a strange expression on his face. "What the fuck is this?" "It's condoms, I know you're a healthy boy, so I'm sure you wouldn't be able to hold it. That's why if you ever have sex with her, please use this." "What the fuck are you telling your brother?" "Shut up, I have experience in this field, so just trust me and keep it with you," she insisted, causing Hiroto's expression to distort while staring at her direction. "Also, Mom told me to bring her home along with you so that you can introduce her properly to them. So pack your things, we'll be moving to our parents' house by tomorrow," his sister said before patting him on the chest, causing Kaide who was watching them from behind to look at them in confusion, wondering what they were talking about. "Premium card has now been registered and prepared. The host can now bring it out the system space and use it," the system notification said, causing Hiroto to look at his sister's direction. "Sis, can you bring Kaide to the mall and go shopping? She doesn't have anything with her right now, since you're a woman." "Why did that sound like a question?" "You're imagining it," Hiroto said before placing his hand on his pocket, secretly taking out the card from his system space and taking it out for his sister to see, making her widen her eyes as she saw the card in his hand. Quote. "You little shit, I didn't raise you to become a fucking thief," she shouted as she suddenly punched him on the face, making Hiroto slide back and hit the bed, causing him to raise his hand in front of him while looking at his sister that was walking towards him while clenching her fist. Wait, this is my card, I got it legally, you fucking gorilla." "Huh, you think I'll believe you," she said as she prepared to punch him in the face, making Hiroto raise his arms in front of him as a notification appeared in front of his eyes. "Don't punch me, I'm a shareholder of a large company. Look at it yourself, I've been saving this money for the past month," he shouted what the system advised him to say, causing his sister to pause her actions before Hiroto took out a business card from his system inventory, making her grab it from his hand before reading the information on the card. Quote. "This isn't fake, right? Why would it be fake? How do you think I got that amount of money?" he shouted as his sister continued to look at him in confusion before she turned on the computer in his room. "You better not be lying," she said while Hiroto nervously gulped while looking at the system. "You don't have to worry. The money came from the organization, so of course it's legal. We have already prepared an appropriate background for you to hide the real source of your income," the system said as his sister searched for the name of the company on the card, clicking on the section that says, shareholders, and to her surprise, She did find his name listed on the company's website, making her look at his brother in awe. When did you? I got lucky. I bought the shares from an old man when the company was dying, but I never expected that the company would make a recovery a week ago. Quote. Where did you get the money to buy those shares? Quote. I loaned it, he said as cold sweat ran down his back, hoping that his sister would believe the cover that the organization gave him. Making his sister frown before nodding her head. Quote. I'll believe you for now, but if you're involved in something sketchy, she said as she swiped her thumb across her neck, looking at Hiroto with a vicious expression on her face. To understand, he said, resisting the urge to avert his eyes away from her to avoid looking suspicious. Quote. So my little brother is now earning more than me. It's kind of pissing me off when I think about it, she said, causing Hiroto to nervously gulp his saliva as he saw her tightly clenching her knuckles. This unreasonable woman, he shouted in his mind before his sister suddenly grinned, grabbing his card from his hand. Then, since you're rich, I hope you don't mind if I go overboard in shopping with your girlfriend, right? Quote. Go ahead, just don't spend it all. Chapter 11. Goodbye money. Quote. My body is so weak, Hiroto muttered as he grabbed the horizontal bars of the seesaw in a park, lifting his body up to his chin while he was covered in sweat, making the surrounding pedestrians to look at him with a strange expression on their faces. Quote. I have no problem with physique strength, by my stamina is so low, Hiroto said as he let go of the bar and started to wipe the sweat off his head, trying to catch his breath. But even though he was forced to do this sudden slightly intense physical exercises, his body didn't ache nor it soared, he just felt exhausted due to his lack of stamina. I should have brought some extra clothes, he said as he pulled the wet t-shirt that was clinging onto his body, making him uncomfortable as he brushed his wet blue hair backwards with his hand, looking at the quest window with a tired expression on his face. Finish the exercise routine provided by the system. Curl-ups, push-ups, squats, chin-ups. Running 0.25 kilometer. Reward 5 system points. Limit 24 hours. Failure degrading of 1 random skill. I should probably buy my own gym equipment after I get the mansion, he muttered before he started to fix his shoes, looking forward the pathway with a serious expression on his face, preparing himself as he skipped in place before starting to run at a moderate speed. System, when will the next dimension dive be? Hiroto asked while stabilizing his breathing so that he would last longer in running, making a translucent screen to appear beside his vision to avoid covering his sight on the path and accidentally bumping into someone. In 8 days, you would be entering another dimension, and now the quest wouldn't be as laxed as the first one since you would now be participating in a real quest, the system said, causing Hiroto to frown as he read the window in front of him. How difficult exactly? From stealing women from the protagonist, rushing the events or progress of relationship of the story, killing specific characters, or changing the fate of the characters. It depends based on the will of those who created us, but due to your inexperience and poor performance from the last quest, we have altered the roster for the dimensions you will be diving. We removed a few dimensions with quests that we deem as too difficult for you to handle, the system answered, causing Hiroto to show a reluctant expression on his face, expecting that he would be dragged into a large mess in the future. For example, that is classified information host. The only thing that you need to remember is that we won't place in a dimension or give you a quest that is impossible for you to complete, the system said, causing Hiroto to helplessly sigh in response. When will those dimensions be added to the roster? If you advance as a tier 2 or higher, then a few of those will be added to the roster, the system answered as Hiroto continued to run through the park, letting his sweat fall down on the ground as he ran while maintaining his breathing. How about Fate Grand Order? Can I enter that? No, that dimension is a special case, due to its complexity of involving the interactions of 3 separate dimensions. A separate system is needed to control and hold it, and that is the Fate system. A system that allows its holder to summon servants in exchange for system points. It is a gacha system, but is extremely costly. That's why none of its holder managed to live long or grow stronger, the system explained, causing Hiroto to look at the system with a frown, not expecting that one of his favorite games was not in control of the system, making him sigh in regret. There goes my dream of meeting Mordred or Artoria, he said with a displeased expression on his face. making the system remain silent like he was hiding more information from him. Chain quest complete. 5 system points has been rewarded. 2 notifications appeared in front of him, making Hiroto stop in his tracks before looking at the string of notifications in front of him, making him smile before his new chain quest appeared. Chain quest 2, finish the exercise routine provided by the system. Curl-ups 0/200ths. Push-ups 0/200ths. Squats 0/200ths. Chin-ups 0/200ths. Running 0/10ths of a kilometer. Reward 10 system points. Limit 24 hours. Failure degrading of 1 random skill. Quote. System, you son of a bitch, Hiroto said in irritation while looking at the sudden leap in the number of sets of each exercise in the routine. Just suck it up, host. It's good for you, and your stamina must have already improved after this thanks to you skill. So quit whining and just do it. The system said as Hiroto sat down on a bench, wiping the sweat off his neck using his shirt. Yeah, I don't really have any choice after all, he said as he leaned back on the backrest of the bench, looking up the bright blue sky with a serious expression on his face. Quote. What are you thinking about, host? The system asked, causing Hiroto to breathe out a deep sigh before leaning forward, placing both of his arms on his thighs. Quote. I'm just thinking what do to from now on. Since I'm now stuck with you, I doubt I'll be able to live a normal life. It's bound to get messed up in the future. Do you not wish for a little excitement in your life? The system asked, causing Hiroto to let out a quiet laugh. Quote. I'm not really an avid fan of this little excitement of yours. I always thought that I'll forever live my life hiding from society, but then you appeared and pushed me out of the shade, he said before he pulled his shirt and started to wring it while sitting down, causing his sweat to fall and soak the ground. I'll help you fulfill all of your wishes, in exchange I'll need your services. Quote. Is that so? He said with a slight smile on his face, since he never really had any ambitions or plan in his life before he got the system. But now, he had 2 goals: to live a good life with Kaide, and to survive the quests of the system. Quote. I forgot how would I explain to Kaide about the weird quests you're giving me, he muttered with a difficult expression on his face, remembering one of the continuous quests that the system gave him, and judging from the nature of the continuous quests, it was obvious that the system would force him to handle his own harem in the future. Quote. Speaking of Kaide, I wonder what those 2 are doing with Maple. This one smells nice, doesn't it? Hiroto's sister, Kirishima said as she sprayed a bit of the perfume to her wrist, making Kaide nod her head as she smelled the light fragrance of the perfume that was not too overpowering. Then we'll take this, she said as she passed it to the staff following them around with a flattering smile on her face, making Kaide look at the large pile of shopping bags behind her sister-in-law with a hesitant expression on her face. Is it really alright for us to buy that many? Of course, didn't Hiroto say that we can go all out? I always wanted a branded perfume kit, but I think I got a little bit overboard. I bought 10 sets for both of us after all, she said, causing Kaide to look at her in shock as they walked towards the cashier who had a bright smile on her face due to their large purchase. Would you like to pay with cash or card? We'll pay with card, I said as she passed Hiroto's credit card to the cashier, deducting 5 million yen from his card, causing Kaide to look at their bill with an astonished expression on her face, making her look at in disbelief as they spent 5 million yen from just makeup and perfumes. Send all of this to this address, I said as she encircled 60% of the items in the list and gave Hiroto's address to them, causing Maple to look at her in hesitation. All of that is mine. Of course, I brought you here to buy your clothes and accessories. So, of course we'll buy a lot for you. Won't Hiroto think I'm a spendthrift at this rate? She said with an anxious expression, causing to pat her head with an assuring smile on her face. Don't worry, Hiroto isn't the type to get mad at you for this. He did say we can buy as much as we want. And even if he did get angry, just call me and I'll beat the shit out of him for you, she said as the staff took the bags away and prepared to send them to the 2 addresses that I gave them, making Kaide shyly nod her head in response. It would take a while if we go and buy clothes, so let's first buy what you want. Do you want anything, Kaide-kun? She asked, causing Kaide to shake her head to the side. There's really nothing that I want, she said, making frown at her direction before she held her hand, No need to be shy, we're using your boyfriend's money to buy everything anyway. She grinned as she held the black card between her fingers, making Kaide hesitate even more since she's spending someone else's money. Then, do you like gaming like Hiroto? She asked, causing her to shake her head to each side. She never really played any other game other than New World Online that her friend recommended. Why are you hesitating? I'm sure Hiroto would find it uncomfortable since you're treating him like a stranger. It's good to be considerate, but you have to act a bit spoiled sometimes. Even if you didn't buy anything now, I'm sure Hiroto will be the one to buy and gift it to you. That's the type of person he is, she said as she placed one of her hand on her own waist, looking at the timid girl standing in front of her. Are you sure you don't want anything? I asked once again, causing Kaide to nod her head, making her helplessly sigh in response. Then, we'll first buy a laptop and phone for you, then we'll move on to jewelry, accessories, bags, and clothes. I'm sure you'll love it, she said as she grabbed her hand and pulled her out of the stores, making the staff wave their hands at them while Kaide struggled to keep up due to her low AGI. We're just getting started with Hiroto, so I can use magic. I wonder how my family will react once they found out about this, Hiroto said as he played around with a fireball floating above his hand, testing out his skills if he could use it as easy as it was in the game, making him sigh in relief from finding out that everything stayed the same, though he can't use supreme or ultimate ranked spells due to their extreme difficulty. That's why he needed a bit more practice in using high-tiered spells, with the aim to practice how to shorten its incantation time and mana use. Host, it looks like your sister and girlfriend is now finished shopping, the system said, causing Hiroto to stand up from the ground before looking up the sky. They left 10 in the morning and they're just returning now. How long did they even shop? He asked with a frown as he patted the dust off his pants. More than 8 hours, and they spent quite a large amount of money from your card, the system said, causing Hiroto to raise his eyebrows while looking at the system. How much did they spend? He asked as he opened the bottle of mineral water, chugging it down to wash away the dryness of his throat. 67 million yen, the system said, causing Hiroto to spit out the water in his mouth, making it shower down on the ground as he stared at the amount shown on the screen. What the? Did they buy the entire shop or something? He said as he pressed the bridge of his nose, remembering how much a spendthrift his sister was from his boyfriend, making him feel a massive headache assault his mind. Look at how she butchered my card, he said before the system showed an image of his sister and Kaide carrying several bags in their arms, making Hiroto look at Kaide, who had a wide smile on her face like she was enjoying herself. Well, if she had fun, I guess it's fine. I'll have another 100 million next month anyway, he said before looking up the sky, making him see the smug expression of his sister while holding his card. So this is what his boyfriend mean when he said never to trust her with shopping. I kind of feel pity for him. Chapter 12. Kirishima Household. How cute. A woman with long blue hair like Hiroto and black eyes said as she greeted Kaide at the door, holding both of her hand with a large smile on her face as they entered the house. Good morning, Kaide loudly greeted with an extremely nervous expression on her face, making Hiroto give her a pat on the head to comfort her, causing his mother to grin in response. I always wanted to see the Kaideken that I has been telling us about lately. I'm happy that you visited us, Kaide, Hiroto's mother said, causing Kaide to fidget while standing in front her, overwhelmed by her intimacy and enthusiasm. Come inside and rest, I'm sure you were tired from the long ride here, she said as she pulled Kaide into the house, making Kaide turn her head back at Hiroto, who waved his hand at her with a smile on his face. Hiroto, I'll see you later, Kaide, Hiroto said as his sister entered inside the house, carrying 2 bottles of whiskey in her hands, a gift that Hiroto bought for his father, to avoid getting beaten to a pulp by him for disappearing for an entire month. Are you just going to stand there or what? I says while sucking on a lollipop in her mouth, making Hiroto take off his shoes on the entrance before entering the house. I'll give this to Dad, so go ahead and fix my room. Kaide will be using that room while we stay here. Can't you do I said as she glared at Hiroto with a vein bulging out of her chin, making Hiroto immediately cut off his words as instinctive fear ran down his back. Nothing, he meekly said, causing his sister to smile at his direction before entering the living room of the house, leaving Hiroto alone with the small luggage that they bought containing Hiroto's and Kaide's clothes, making Hiroto helplessly sigh before carrying the 2 large bags in his arms and walking towards his sister's room. Please God let her room be clean, he said as he arrived at his sister's bedroom upstairs, right next to his room, praying to God that his sister or his mother cleaned the room when she and him moved out of the house to live by themselves. Slowly opening the door of her bedroom before the sight of pink walls entered his eyes. He then looked around inside the room before sighing in relief that everything was clean. It's more like, it was mostly empty since his sister brought everything that she needs with her when she moved into her boyfriend's residence. At least the bed is here, he said as he glanced at the soft bed in the room, where 2 stuffed animals were placed on the edges of the bed. So she didn't bring this too with her, huh? He muttered as he placed Kaide's baggage inside the room, opening the large closer of her room, revealing her old clothes that barely even fit her anymore, but was the perfect size for Kaide to wear. It's surprising that she hasn't thrown this clothes away, Hiroto said before closing it and moving towards the drawer beside it. Finding that it was empty, he immediately started opening the bag and started unpacking Kaide's clothes. Let me see what those 2 bought yesterday, he said as he grabbed a random clothes from the bag, causing him to feel a smooth and fragile surface like it was made out of thin silk, making him raise his eyebrows before taking it out, causing him to see a small nightdress with a slightly transparent cloth. Hiroto then slowly breathed out as the image of Kaide wearing this dress flashed inside his head, making his ears redden as he slowly placed the dress back at the bag. With Kaide, now, take a seat and relax. I really can't believe that my son managed to get a cute girlfriend like you, Hiroto's mother enthusiastically said as she placed a plate of snacks on the table, making Kaide nervously look around the living room, feeling a bit uncomfortable from being in this new environment. Thank you, Auntie, she said, causing the woman to gently smile at her direction while holding her cheek. You can call me Mom, Kaideken. Kaide stuttered, making Hiroto's mother to smile in amusement, seeing how shy and innocent Hiroto's girlfriend is. Be careful of alright? Don't let what she says influence you. That girl has always been a troublemaker ever since she was young. Mom, what are you telling her? I said as she barged into the living room, making her mother frown in response. Don't run in the living room. Also, did you already unpack Kaide's clothes? She asked, causing I to scratch her cheeks in response as she looked away. Don't tell me you let your brother unpack her clothes. How can you let a boy do that? Her mother scolded with a frown as Kaide suddenly paled in response, remembering the extremely dangerous clothing that I placed in her luggage. Please excuse me. I'll go check on Hiroto, she said in a panic as she asked where the stairs are, making I give her the directions towards her room as Kaide quickly ran upstairs in a panic. I never knew she likes wearing those types of clothes, Hiroto muttered before he suddenly heard hurried steps echo outside the room, making him frown as the door was suddenly slammed open by Kaide, who had a flushed cheeks and a panicked expression on her face. Hiroto, I'll do the unpacking myself, she nervously said but froze when she saw his hand inside the bag, making her look at him with a slight hesitation in her eyes. Why, you saw? Didn't see anything, Hiroto said as he hurriedly pulled his hand out of the bag, making Kaide slowly walk towards him as tears started to well up at the corner of her eyes. You saw it, she muttered before a wooden shield suddenly appeared in her arms, making Hiroto look at her in a panic. Kaide, let's calm down for a sec, Hiroto said as he stepped back, raising his right arm in front of him as he watched Kaide walk towards him with a tearful face, raising her shield up in the air before he charged at Hiroto's direction. Shield attack. A loud noise of something smashing hard echoed inside the room together Hiroto's scream, making I, who was standing outside the room, to show a guilty expression on her face. I'll make it up to you someday, Hiroto. Time skip. What happened to you? Hiroto's mother asked as she placed the dishes for their dinner on the table, looking at Hiroto, who was tending his wounds. I'm sorry, Kaide said as she was applying ointment on Hiroto's bruises, looking at him with an apologetic expression on her face. It's all right, it wasn't your fault, he said before glaring at his sister's direction, making her awkwardly look away in response. It's also pretty rude of me to touch your belongings without your permission, he said as Kaide tightly held his hand before a tall man with short black hair and golden eyes like Hiroto entered the dining room, glancing at Kaide with a serious expression on his face, making her flinch as she felt his sharp gaze land on her. Quote. The man then nodded his head in satisfaction before looking at Hiroto with a proud expression on his face. You have great taste, son, he commented before he looked at his wife's back with a smile on his face. She's just like your mother when she was young, he said as Hiroto's mother came out of the kitchen once again and placed a new batch of dishes on the table. Eat up and enjoy, it's a special occasion today since Kaideken is here with us. I cooked your favorite dishes for today, she said as she sat down on the empty chair, making Hiroto look at the dishes in front of him with a smile on his face. Ever since he started working out, his appetite started to become larger than before as his body started to form visible muscles especially on his arms and stomach. Kaideken, do you already know the way towards your room? The mother asked, causing Kaide to nod her head in response while Hiroto asked her on what she likes to eat, placing them on her bowl as she was too shy to grab a dish from the table. Thank you, she thanked as she started eating, making Hiroto's mother to warmly smile at his direction. Stay here for the week, Hiroto. It's getting a bit lonely here when it's just me and your father, so I hope you and Kaideken accompany for the week, she said as she took a peek towards Kaide who was silently eating in her seat, making Hiroto turn his head towards his girlfriend. Do you want to stay here for the next few days? Quote. I'll leave it to you. I'm fine with whatever you decide on, she said, causing Hiroto to nod his head before looking at his mother. We'll stay here for the week. I bought a new house for us and it would take a week for it to finish construction, he said, causing his mother to remember something I said in the past, making her show a proud smile on her face. I heard that you're now a shareholder of a company. I'm honestly happy that our little boy has now grown up. You should have told us sooner, we wouldn't have worried this much for you if you do, she said with a joyful smile on her face while his father only nodded his head, happy that his son stopped being the hopeless NEET that she was in the past. Something that made both of them worried about since it would severely affect his future, but now they have nothing to worry about anymore. As long as nothing bad happens to the company, then he would be solved in his entire life. Quote. You don't look too surprised. Well, we already heard about it yesterday so of course we wouldn't be as surprised as before. We're just happy that you managed to take a step forward. We don't really care if you're rich or not, as long as you're fine. Take good care of yourself. We'll help you out if you faced a difficult situation. You're still young, and I'm sure there are problems that you aren't prepared to face yet. That's why don't hesitate to contact us if you need help, she said before she softly smiled at Kaide's direction. I heard what happened at school, and don't worry. I know you're not that type of person. You were just a bit blind back then in choosing a girl, but, after I saw Kaide, I think I can rest assured, she said before she held Kaide's hand. Even though Hiroto is a bit naive and sometimes awkward, he's a good kid. I hope you can take care of him for us in the future. If he ever makes you cry, you can come to us and we'll teach him a lesson that he'll never forget, she said before she hit Hiroto on the shoulders with a sharp glare on her face. And you, take care of her properly. Don't spoil her too much even if you have the money to do so. Do you want her to become like your sister? She asked, causing I to choke on her food before looking at their mother with a pitiful expression on her face. How can you say that? What? I heard how much you spent yesterday using your brother's money. That kid is spoiling you too much, it's a bit worrying, she said, causing Hiroto to imagine his exhausted brother-in-law waving at him from working overtime, just to give I what she wants. Quote. I'm surprised he hasn't broken up with you, sis, he said as he remembered the large bags under his eyes the last time they met, making his sister glare at his direction. You shut up, she shouted angrily as she stood up and strangled him, making Kaide, who was between them, to unconsciously giggle in response, seeing how lively his family was. Timeskip, system, will my family be safe when I get involved in more crazier shit because of you? He asked as he laid down on his bed, looking up the ceiling with a serious expression on his face. A system holder's family and the people that he deems as important is under the protection of the organization. It is impossible for someone or something to harm them, as they are under constant surveillance. The system answered, causing Hiroto to sigh in relief. That's good, he muttered before he glanced at the large number of anime figurines placed inside of a large glass container. I really don't need those anymore since I can now meet them face to face, he said with a sigh, thinking if he should just sell it online since some of them are worth a considerable amount of money. System, can you at least show me where I'll be going beforehand? At least give me time to prepare what I'll be facing. Opening square bracket. We can start the selection process now and freeze the rift for you until the resting time is over, but that would cost you 65 system points to access that feature of the system. Buy it, he said before he heard someone knock on his door, making him stand up from his bed before walking towards the door. Sis, why are you bothering me this late at? He said but stopped his words as he saw Kaide standing in front of his door, hugging a large pillow in her embrace. Kaide, what are you doing here? He asked, causing Kaide to shyly bury her face on her pillow. See, can I sleep with you for tonight? She asked, causing Hiroto to look at her in surprise. Why, you don't like your room? He asked, making Kaide shake her head to the side. Two can't sleep. I feel uncomfortable sleeping in another house without someone I know beside me. That's why can I stay with you for tonight, Hiroto? She said in a barely audible voice, causing Hiroto to hesitate, but seeing her like this, he helplessly sighed before opening the door for her. Come in, he said, causing Kaide to brightly smile as she entered the room, looking at Hiroto with a grateful expression. I'll get a futon downstairs. You can sleep on the bed and I'll sleep on the floor, he said but was stopped by Kaide who held his shirt, making him look at her in confusion. Why you don't need to do that? WWE can sleep on the bed together. What? Hiroto muttered as he felt his heartbeat suddenly quicken, seeing her crimson face while his pupils trembled, taken back by what she said. Yay, sleep together on the bed, she repeated, causing Hiroto to pinch his own cheek. Is that alright with you? I'm a boy, I read that it's normal for couples to sleep together. That's why I don't mind sleeping with you, she hurriedly said, causing Hiroto gulp. Does it bother you? Of course not, I'm just a bit surprised, he said before Kaide held his hand, making him feel her sweaty and trembling hands, showing how nervous she was right now. Sure, let's sleep together on the bed, he said before he locked the door of his room, watching as she beam a smile at him before sitting down on his bed. Clear your mind of your sins, Hiroto. She doesn't mean it like that, he said as he nervously laid down on the bed while Kaide placed her pillow beside his, laying down on the bed facing him. An awkward silence engulfed the entire room as Hiroto tried to avert his eyes away from her body. See, can you hold my hand while we sleep? She asked, making Hiroto slowly move his hand on top of hers, flincing as he felt his soft and warm hands before Kaide intertwined her fingers with his. Shit, I can't sleep like this, he thought as Kaide suddenly leaned closer. I had a lot of fun today. Me too, he responded as he heard her softly breathing close to his body, making his nervousness reach higher levels before Kaide looked up at him. Hiroto, can you hug me? Hug you? He asked, causing Kaide to weakly nod her head, making Hiroto raise his right hand above her body, hesitant to touch her while his fingers wiggled, not knowing where to place his hand. Stop being so nervous, he thought as he steeled himself and wrapped his arms around her waist, making Kaide jolt, but didn't push him away, letting him pull her in his chest as his fragrance entered her nose. Good night, Hiroto. Sleep tight, he whispered, causing the girl in his arm to snuggle on his chest, feeling her warm breath brush against his neck, causing him to grit his teeth in response. System, just knock me out. Opening square bracket. Understood. Chapter 13. Next quest. Hiroto, I brought you lunch, Kaide said as she entered the backyard of his parents' house, carrying small picnic basket filled with sandwiches and a bottle of iced tea, causing her to see Hiroto who was doing a push-up with his body erected upwards, making Kaide dazedly stare at his now toned and muscular body, causing her to unconsciously blush as she placed the basket on the table in the backyard. Thanks, I was getting a bit hungry, Hiroto said as he landed his feet on the ground and stood up straight. combing his slightly long blue hair backwards, causing Kaide's eyes to unconsciously glance at his well-defined abdominal and chest muscle. His arms were a lot larger than before when he was still skinny, making Kaide shyly look away from him as he grabbed his white shirt hanged on the fence, wearing it on his body, but didn't help much as his muscles were visible through the white cloth. Continuous quest complete, 20 system points has been rewarded. The notification read as he grabbed the towel on the table and proceeded to wipe his neck and face. "Did you grow taller, Hiroto?" she asked as she looked up at his face, only reaching his chest as he was now 2 heads taller than her, making her feel a lot smaller than she actually was. "I think so, I'm even taller than Dad now," he said as he hung the towel on the empty chair beside his own, sitting down on his chair as Kaide stared at him in a daze. "Have you gotten used to living here?" he asked as he grabbed a sandwich from the basket, making her nod her head in response. Mom has been teaching me to cook for the past few days," she said with a cute smile on his face, making Hiroto smile at her as he took a bite of the sandwich in his hand. "Are you ready to move out tomorrow? The mansion is already constructed. You can just go there yourself for the time being. I'll follow you after I get home from school," he said, causing Kaide to show a reluctant expression on her face as she was used to living here with his parents, making her reluctant to leave them, causing her to look at Hiroto with a pitiful expression on her face. "My parents didn't agree to come and live with us, so I really can't do anything about that. We can go visit them every weekends. It's not like we're permanently leaving. We'll just move to our new home, that's all," he comforted as he held her hand that was on the table, making Kaide weakly nod her head before looking up at his direction. "Are you really going to school?" "I don't really have a choice. My homeroom teacher has been bugging me to go back to school, and I need to at least graduate to have a good background. I missed a lot of lessons in the past month, so I had to make up for it by staying up late during the night," he said with an annoyed expression on his face, since because of his studies, he wasn't able to sleep with Kaide anymore even when she often visits his room during the night, making him feel regretful for neglecting his studies in the past since it affected his time with her. "I'm sorry I couldn't help. It can't be helped. We're in different grades, you're 2 years younger than me after all," Hiroto said as he poured iced tea on the glass cup, and chugged it down, making him show a satisfied expression on his face as he felt the coldness of the drink spread through his stomach. "Hiroto, you're moving to your new house tomorrow, right?" his mother said as she came out of THW house while wiping her hands with a towel, making Hiroto glance at her before nodding his head. "Yeah, why, is there an occasion tomorrow?" "No, I talked with your homeroom teacher on the phone. I explained to her about your circumstances, that's why you're excused for tomorrow. You'll be quite busy for the entire day tomorrow since you're moving out," she said with a smile on her face as she walked inside the house, making Hiroto show a grateful expression on his face. "Thanks, Mom. Just remember to come back to school on Tuesday, alright?" "I will," Hiroto said before he stood up from his seat, making Kaide look at him with a frown on her face. "Rest for a few minutes before you continue. Don't worry, I know my own body, and I didn't eat that much so it's alright," he said as he grabbed the metallic baseball bat leaning against the wall of the house, making Kaide helplessly sigh as Hiroto continued training. "Host, when do you plan on telling her about your quest?" the system asked, causing Hiroto to show a difficult expression on his face since he himself doesn't know how. Kaide grew up in a society similar to this where polygamy is frowned upon. Even though he himself didn't want to do it, his system wouldn't stay silent about it. That's why he needed to tell Kaide about the system before he enters the second dimension. "I'll tell her about it tonight. I'm a bit reluctant in bringing her to the next dimension, that's why I'll have to clear it myself," he said with a frown before glancing at his new quest, a dimension that will test his mental fortitude when dealing with blood and gore. Even though he didn't show any hesitation nor sympathy towards them since he knew that they were just virtual monsters. But now, in his next dimension, he will be dealing with real monsters, and in addition, he can only use 2 spells while in that dimension. Dimension: High School of the Dead. Quest: Protect the Takagi estate from being overrun by a zombie stampede. Reward: Upgrade 1 passive skill. Limit: 2 months. Failure: Death. Limitations: Mana capacity of the host has been adjusted due to the balance of power in that dimension. The host can only choose 2 low-tier spells that he would use before entering the dimension. He only has his physical strength and 2 low-tier spells in his arsenal. That's why he isn't invincible in this dimension. If Kaide was with him, of course he can easily wipe them out since her powers aren't adjusted. But couldn't since he's worried of what will happen to her mental state when entering this dimension. That's why he needs to do it himself. You can bring items from this dimension to other dimensions, but you can't do the other way around. That's why we recommend that the host prepare everything that he'll need before entering the dimension. The system said a few days ago when he woke up from being knocked out by the system, making him buy 2 thick leather gloves with a strong grip when holding metallic objects, a pocket knife, battery, flashlight, food supply, and a metal bat. He's still far too inexperienced in using a sword and feared that he will accidentally cut himself. That's why he decided to use blunt weapons since it's a lot easier to use than a sword. Other sharp weapons are also a bit dangerous since he can't cleanly slice through them, then there's a chance that the blade would get stuck in their body. Unlike a bat where you just smash them, and even blow them away to create some distance between him and the zombies. This was also the reason why aside from his exercise routine, he also practiced swinging the bat daily to improve his grip and wrist flexibility when using it. He didn't want to accidentally let go of his weapon if he swung it far too much. It could prove lethal to him since it's dangerous to fight in close-quarter combat against a zombie. Even though he can easily overpower them, he doesn't have any training nor experience in proper close-quarter combat. If only he had a longer resting time, then he would have hired someone to teach him how to do military close-quarter combat. Since unlike CQC used in sports, military CQC is created to kill or disarm an opponent as fast as possible while minimizing injuries. System, do you have any skills that you recommend for that dimension? Hiroto asked as he swung his bat sideways, creating a sharp whistling noise in the wind due to the speed and force of his swing. Repeating it multiple times so that he could get used in swinging the bat in different angles to cover his front, back, and side. Knowing that dimension, theirs was a large chance that he will be outnumbered multiple times. That's why he needed to protect himself from all sides. I recommend the skill Enhanced Senses so you'll have a better grasp of your surroundings. It will enhance your 5 senses above human capacity, the system said as Hiroto swung his bat downwards at full force, hitting the ground as it created a small dent on the soil of their backyard. By it, 5 system points deducted. You have acquired Enhanced Senses low. The notification said, causing Hiroto to suddenly blank out, feeling a sudden weird sensation assault his mind and body before his ears twitched, making him the sound of an insect's wings flapping, causing him to glance at the tree where a small ladybug can be seen. This feels weird, he said as his eyes grew clearer than before, making him see small objects and insects from afar, something that he couldn't do before due to his poor eyesight. You'll get used to it eventually, host, the system said as it watched Hiroto look at his own body in a daze, making Kaide, who was watching by the side, to notice that something strange in his actions. Hiroto, she called, causing Hiroto to turn his head and look back at Kaide, looking at him with a worried expression on her face. Are you all right? She asked, causing Hiroto to smile at her direction, assuring her that nothing was wrong with him. I think you should rest for today, she said with a pout before standing up and pulling his hand. I'm all right, I was Zhu. No excuses, come with me and go have some rest, she angrily said, making Hiroto helplessly smile as she let him take him away. Host, the staff of the organization has now started to move all your stuff at your new house. You can now enter it if you like. The only thing that is left is the installation of the gym and the training field designated for the host, the system said, causing Hiroto to widen his eyes in surprise as Kaide pulled him towards the sofa, making him look at the system in a daze. What's in the training room? A practice dummy, a mana crystal, and a large variety of wooden weapons that you can use to practice your proficiency in using different weapons. As per your request, we have added a movie and gaming room for you in the mansion. Everything will be done by this evening, the system answered, making Hiroto smile in excitement before she glanced at Kaide, who stopped in front of the sofa in the living room. Kaide, he asked as he noticed the redness of her ears, making him look at her in confusion, watching her as she sat down on the sofa. Go ahead and lay down, she said while patting her thighs, telling him to use her lap as a pillow, making Hiroto widen his eyes in astonishment before his mother suddenly threw a piece of towel on his head. Before you get chummy with Kaide, go and take a bath first. You wouldn't want to smell like sweat to her, right? His mother said as Hiroto pulled the towel off his face, making him glance at Kaide before he touched his wet hair that was drenched from his own sweat. I'll be back after a few minutes, Hiroto said with a smile before he leaned closer and gave her a kiss on her forehead, making Kaide's face flush pink before Hiroto walked towards the bathroom. Congratulations, you have now turned into a better person, even though you're still a virgin. I hope your performance in the next quest will be as high as your ego right now, host. Quote. I almost forgot that you're like this system. Chapter 14. Telling her about the system. What are you watching? Hiroto asked as he was wiping his hair with a towel, walking towards Kaide who was watching something in her phone while casually laying down on his bed. I was checking if what you said a few days ago was true, and it looks like I really am a fictional character in this world, she said as she showed him the screen of her phone, making him see that she was watching her own show, causing Hiroto to look at her with a strange expression on his face. So you already knew everything before you even came and get me from my dimension, she said, making Hiroto awkwardly scratch his head before looking at her in worry, afraid that she would get angry as he lied to her once they first met. Quote. I'm sorry, I lied. He suddenly apologized as he crouched down towards her, making her look at him with a light smile on her face. I don't mind, but I am angry that you tricked me when we first met. You could have just told me that you knew me. Quote. I would have looked like a creep if I did that, Hiroto said as he took out a t-shirt from his closet and wore it on his body. Quote. Do you regret coming with me? He asked with a hint of anxiety and hesitation in his voice, causing Kaide to giggle before she stood up and hugged him from his back. Quote. Do I look like I regret coming here? Quote. No, Hiroto said, remembering how happy and comfortable she was while in this world, making Kaide show a bright smile on her face. Even if I go back, it would become pretty lonely for me, since you're not there anymore, she said, causing Hiroto to turn his body around, making her let go and hug him from the front, burying her face on his chest with a shy expression on her face due to what she said to him. Quote. Don't stare at me like that, Kaide said as she noticed him dazedly staring at her direction, making Hiroto's face to unconsciously form a smile before he lifted her up in his arm and hugged her body, catching her by surprise for his sudden actions. Hiroto, she called with flushed cheeks before she saw the joyful smile on his face, leaning his own face on her neck before he sat down on the bed, letting her sit on his lap before he wrapped his arm around her waist. Let me stay like this for a while, he said, causing her to fidget her feet that was stepping on the bed, feeling his hot breath brush against her neck while the light scent of sandalwood enter her nose, making her body feel like it was heating up. Hiroto, it tickles, she whispered as she placed her hand on his shoulders, making him snuggle on her neck. Kaide, I'm really happy right now, he said, making Kaide pause her actions before a warm feeling spread on her chest. Quote. I really didn't get to tell you how I felt in the past, right? I was still a bit awkward around you back then, so I didn't have the courage to tell you, he said before his hands wrapped tighter around her, all while Kaide remained silent, anticipating what he's going to say next. 2. Cough. I love you, Kaide, he said as he mustered up all of the courage that he had, making Kaide see his ears turning crimson red as he hid his face on her neck, causing her to feel an indescribable emotions of happiness and joy. Her expression loosened as a sloppy smile appeared on her face from hearing him confess his feelings to her for the first time. Quote. Me too, I love you too, she whispered, causing Hiroto to smile as a warm atmosphere spread throughout his room, remaining silent for a few minutes before he looked up at her, looking at her averting her eyes away from him while her face down to her neck was red. Don't look at me right now, she said as she placed her hands on his face, trying to cover his eyes, causing Hiroto to chuckle as he held her hand, gently pulling it away from his face as he continued to stare at her with a soft smile. Quote. Kaide, he called, causing Kaide to look at him before he started to lean closer, making her heartbeat race as she felt nervous yet excited as she watched him slowly lean closer, nervous since she didn't know what to do since this was her first kiss, and feeling excited from the thought of kissing him. Making her slowly close her eyes before puckering her lips at his direction. Hiroto, Kaide called as she felt his warm breath next to hers, making her nervousness reach higher levels while her mind become muddled. Hiroto pressed his lips against his, making his heart pound in his chest as he felt her soft and smooth lips pressing against him. Ah, Kaide let out a short moan as she felt all of her senses go numb, except for the sensation of his wet lips sealing her own. Making her feel her body go weak while his hands started to wrap tighter around her back and hips. Slowly, indulging into their kiss as she enjoyed the addicting sensation on her lips. Making her placed her hand on his chest, clenching his shirt before she felt foreign lust and desire take over her body. Hiroto, more, she said with dazed eyes as Hiroto separated his lips from hers. Making her feel a bit unsatisfied while she panted in his arms. Hiroto then placed his hand on her chip, making her look up at him before he sealed her lips again. Now becoming a bit more aggressive as he placed his tongue on her teeth. Slowly opening it before he invaded her mouth with tongue, making Kaide let out a moan as she melted in his arm. Feeling his soft tongue wrap around hers. The silent room was now filled with the wet sound of their kiss and her quiet moans. Making Hiroto feel his lust for her grow while he enjoyed the sweet taste of her lips. Kaide yelped as she felt something poke her crotch, making her open her eyes as Hiroto slowly separated from her while a string of saliva formed between their lips. Hiroto, something's hitting me, she said with flushed cheeks, making Hiroto lean his head on her neck, trying to control the raging lust and desire that he felt. Kaide, can we do it? He asked, causing Kaide to wrap her arms around his neck. She weakly nodded her head, making Hiroto push her on the bed, leaning on top of her before he gave her another deep kiss. Placing his hand on top of hers before he intertwined their fingers together. Kaide, are you sure? He asked as Kaide pinched the sheets below her with her open hand. Looking at him in the eye with a nervous expression on her face. Be gentle, it's my first time, she said, causing Hiroto to lean closer to her neck, giving a kiss on her smooth and soft skin, causing her to flinch as Hiroto slowly unbuttoned her pajama. Revealing her white lingerie, causing Hiroto to gulp before he slid his arm on her back and unhooked her bra. Making Kaide place the back of her hand on her mouth as Hiroto pushed her bra upwards. Making him see her ample breast that was just the right size to fit in his hand. He then leaned closer and licked the pinkish bud on her breast. Making Kaide moan as she felt electricity run down her spine. Sho called as Hiroto playfully bite her bud, causing her to let out a moan before he started to suck on her right breast while his other hand was fondling her left breast. Pinching her pink bud between his fingers, causing her body to heat up as she started to feel a slight itchy sensation on her crotch. Kaide, lift up your legs, Hiroto whispered as he stood on his knees, pulling her pants off together with her panties, causing Kaide to pant heavily as a trace of anticipation was seen in her eyes. Watching as Hiroto spread her legs, admiring the moist and tight entrace between her legs. Hiroto, I'm scared, she said, causing her body unconsciously tremble from the thought of feeling the pain that comes from having him penetrate through her hymen. Don't be scared, I'll be as gentle as possible, he whispered before he sealed her lips, slowly tracing her body with his hand as it made its way towards her crotch. Kaide, I love you, he whispered before he suddenly felt something warm and wet drench the bed. Making him widen his eyes in confusion before he looked down, causing him to see a large amount of blood coming out of her entrace. Pouring cold water on his mood. Kaide, when is your period again? He asked as he looked at Kaide who had her eyes closed. Making her freeze in realization before suddenly sitting up from the bed, causing her to see the blood-drenched sheets underneath her butt. 2, she said while looking at Hiroto, causing him to helplessly smile at her direction. Seeing how panicked she was, making him give her a short peck on the lips to assure her that it was fine. We'll do it when you're ready, that's why go ahead and clean up for the meantime. I'll call my sister to buy you some pads, he said with a light smile on her face as Kaide blushed in embarrassment. Watching as he felt the room to clean the blood that was on his shirt and get a new clean bed sheets. Making Kaide stand up and kneel on the ground while holding her head. Why did it have to come now? She shouted as she crouched down on the ground in embarrassment. B. But why didn't I feel any menstrual cramps? H. Hiroto said my skills are sealed. She said before she fixed her clothing. Not knowing how to face Hiroto anymore, remembering how she ruined the mood that they had. I'm so stupid, I should have checked the date. Time skip. Hiroto, you aren't mad. For the 5th time, I'm not mad. Why would you think I'm mad? Hiroto said as he and Kaide moved to the next room, bringing all of their pillows with them, causing Kaide to show a guilty expression on her face. B. But, as I said before, it's alright. We still have plenty of chances to try it again in the future, right? He says in an assuring tone before placing the pillows on the bed. Turning his head towards Kaide who just got out of the shower. With this, we can confirm that your pain tolerance is still in effect even if most of your skills are sealed. Since you didn't feel any menstrual cramps based on how clueless you were a while ago before you started bleeding. He said as he sat down on the bed, making Kaide look at him with a strange expression on her face. How do you know that? Quote. I'm the one who always took care of my sister in the past when she's in her period. So I kind of know what to do, I guess. He said while scratching his cheeks before giving Kaide a pat on the head. Let's sleep, we still have to wake up early to move to our new home, right? He said, causing her to nod her head as she reluctantly sit down beside him. Looking away from him while her face flushed in embarrassment from remembering what happened a while ago. Quote. Kaide, I have something to tell you. I know that this would make you angry but I hope you can hear me out. He said, causing her to peek at his direction. Remember the floating screen that you often saw in front of me, and the quest that keeps popping up? He asked as he looked at her with a serious expression on his face. Quote. Have you ever wondered how I was able to enter your world? Quote. Does this have something to do with the floating screens from before? She asked, making him nod his head in response. Quote. If I said that I have a system that allows me to travel to your world, and many other works of fiction of the people in this world, would you believe me? He asked as she listened intently to his words. If she hasn't seen everything that happened up until now like the notifications in the Dimension Rift, then, she wouldn't have believed him but since she saw those, his words appeared to be much more believable to her. Quote. This system gives me quests that if I fail to fulfill, it would cost me my life. Even though some of the quests like the continuous quest aren't as deadly as the main quest. It is impossible for me to ignore them since the system would force me to complete it. He said before he showed the 3 continuous quests and the main quest to his new dimension to Kaide who looked at him in disbelief. Why you will die? She asked in a trembling voice, causing Hiroto to look at her in worry. Watching as her face paled seeing the word, death, in the failure section of the main quest. H. Hiroto, why you will die if you don't complete this? She asked as she held his hand, making Hiroto weakly nod his head, causing her face to grow even paler than before. But that is only if I fail the quest. I'll often enter different stories and fulfill quest with my life on the line, and it ranges from killing a person or seducing another girl. He said as a difficult expression appeared on his face when he said the last part of his sentence. What? She muttered, causing Hiroto to close his eyes, preparing himself to receive her anger, but to his surprise it was only met by a tight hug. Catching him by surprise as he looked at the girl who suddenly hugged him. Then I'll do my best to help you to clear the quest together so you won't die. I'm strong so I'm sure I can help you a lot. She exclaimed as she tightly held his body with trembling arms, afraid from the thought of losing him. Aren't you angry? You'll have to bring home girls in the future because of the quest. You'll have to kiss and do other intimate actions with other girls. 2 just want you to be safe. 2 don't want to lose you. B. But I am angry because you haven't told me this about this sooner. She shouted with a frown on her face, making Hiroto look at her with a confused expression on her face. And, since you're being this honest about it to me, I can trust you. Sharing you with another girl is better than losing you forever. She said with a trace of sadness in her voice before looking at Hiroto with a serious expression on her face. B. But you must make me your priority. If she tries to steal you away from me, don't bring her home and break up with her, she must to remember to share. That's my conditions. She said while Hiroto was looking at her with wide eyes. System, what the hell's going on? How can she just accept that easily? Love is blind. Be fucking serious for once can you? He angrily thought while glancing at the floating screen above them, Making the screen distort as a new series of words appeared inside of it. All girls that are seduced and summoned by you are adjusted, not only in the mechanics of their powers but also their thought process is to not interfere with your progress. In simple words, they are adjusted to make them more open and accepting about the thoughts of polygamy. A feature that was added by the system to not repeat the cause of the death of 10 of our host being killed by one of their lovers due to extreme jealousy. They will still feel jealousy and envy towards each other but not to the point that they'll kill you for it. Just treat them equally to avoid creating a bloodbath in your own harem. Though, you are on your own if you bring home a yandere with you. That is someone that is hard to mentally manipulate. You son of a bitch. Why didn't you tell this to me sooner? You never asked, the system said, causing Hiroto to look at the system in extreme anger before he felt someone thug on his shirt, making him turn his head to look at Kaide who had a pout on her face. "Do you not like my conditions?" "No, I agree with it. You're my first girlfriend. Of course, you'll be my priority," he said, causing her to show a bright smile on her face, making Hiroto show a look of guilt on his face. "Then I don't mind, as long as you're safe," she said as Hiroto caressed the back of her head. "It makes me feel like a criminal for doing something like this. They would not be alive without you, host. They would remain as a fictional character without the powers of the system. That's why don't feel too guilty, since you gave them a chance to live like a normal human. You must remember host, her love for you is something that bloomed thanks to the aid of the system. Don't be a hypocrite since we both manipulated her. You'll eventually get used to it, host. If you feel guilty then make them feel happy. Show them how much you love them. You already know that you'll get involved with this, but your mind changed after falling in love with her. This will now be your responsibility, so face it. It's impossible to run away from it as long as you're alive." To be continued.